Perfect. Let me make sure we're on Twitch. I'm getting so much better at this. Welcome to the People's Receipts. It is lovely to have you. Yep, we are live on Twitch, live on YouTube. Again, thank you so much for sharing the live. I appreciate it so much. People are probably like, what is this up here that says W Jason K? Thank you so much, Jason. I don't personally know you, but you sent me so many things from my Amazon wish list this weekend, like things I needed for the business. The holder that's holding my iPad, like the amazing backpack to carry all my electronic stuff, like so many things. Thank you so much for supporting me. I do have an Amazon wish list. The link is in my bio, but it was so nice, and Jason made me feel so appreciated and welcome. It's hard for me to receive gifts. This is like actually an exercise in me learning how to like receive gifts and be okay with it. So this is actually probably pretty healthy for me. This is good for me. Thank you so much, Jason. I really appreciate the support. Let me just, sorry. We have so much going on today. We'll see what we are going to get to. I have a doctor's appointment in a couple hours, but good news is it's online. I try to make all my doctor's appointments online now. So hopefully that won't be too much of a problem because all I have to do is hop off and then just connect online. So hopefully we can get as much as possible of the crazy stuff going on this weekend in the news before I need to go to the doctor. Thank you so much for sharing the live. Tap the screen, share the live. It's so weird. Pickles will not be here today because he was up all night. I figured I was on, I do Fax and Fleece on Mondays, and which it's 6 a.m. for me, 8 a.m. for Fax on Eastern time. And I think like right when we got in there, Pickles like rated our live, and I was like, okay, he has literally been up all night long. Let me. So I am not surprised. I figured he might be Trump's. Oh, I know. Yeah, Carl, thank you for bringing that up. So I have only one clip I'm going to show you from that today. I'm going to do a deeper dive, because, to put together these outlines, I need to like screen record all the clips, and then I find sort of, like relevant articles and other things to go with them. So I'll do the full. I was on Fax. Fax and I were live for 4 hours this morning already. This is my second live. So yeah, I had about an hour and 45 minutes in between these lives, and that, if you don't know what we're talking about, Trump did an hour of, I don't even know what you would call it. I don't know what. It's not even. I want to say laugh so we don't cry. I don't even know if we should. It's disturbing. That's the nicest way to put it. It was truly, truly disturbing. And tomorrow will be buckle up, because I only think I got through, probably, like I said, I didn't have that much time. I needed to like eat a snack and do a couple things, and I think I got through like 35 minutes, and I'm speechless. So Trump, you remember during the election, he would hold these press conferences at his house where he would scream, for an hour or two sometimes. And he would make THREATSs against reporters and say crazy things. And it may be one of the most extreme examples we have ever seen. Oh yeah, that's not what I'm talking about. Are you talking about this? Are you talking about what's up here? Sorry, someone said you can't see the tweet. Yeah, we'll get there in a second. I'm not talking about that yet. I'm just talking about the press conference that Trump was doing. And I'm just going to say, I think we'll start with that tomorrow. I'll put it all together, clip it, like the best parts, and that way I can have it in an outline, and, we can go through it piece by piece, because it is a mess. He said a lot. I know, Carl. I'm glad someone else saw it. I kind of have been, I don't want to say in shock about that, but it definitely threw me off. I was not, that did not have that on my bingo card. I thought what I had heard that press conference was that Trump was going to make an announcement today alongside like a Japanese businessman slash company about like a partnership and investment into America. And then it turned into the scariest, like, let me tell you something about everything wrong, like hour of screaming. So, anyways, keep tapping the screen. I appreciate it. You guys, our engagement has doubled. This is now, I think, the 4th week. Oh, I was about to do Chrissy's job, but I'll let her do it and then we'll get going. Hey, Chrissy.
Hello. Welcome, Brad. I hope weekend. We're happy to have you back. Make sure we're tapping. Let's get to, we were able to do 100,000 each hour last week. So I think that's a pretty good goal again. I'll be tapping right along with you. Don't forget to gift Felice, and her Cash App and Venmo are right there on the screen. Also, if you would like the sources that she uses for all of her lives, request the Discord there, Felice Navidad Live, and we look forward to seeing you in there. Thank you for all you do for us, Felice.
Thank you, Chrissy. Thank you, guys. Thanks, mods. Thank you, Joanna, Cootery, Chrissy, Fee, all of you guys. You guys are amazing. You guys make my day brighter all the time, and I love working with you guys. Thanks, mods. Thanks, everyone, for being here and doing what you do. And I think it made me, I was just thinking, like, it's interesting because I think Trump is trying to scare people out of talking about him or saying anything negative about him. That's what I'm getting from this weekend. And then what the absolute meltdown I just saw him have at that press conference is, he's basically sending out all these warnings like, if you're going to speak about me in a negative way, I'm going to, come after you. And it just made me feel like it made me appreciate TikTok more and the people on here and the people I work with. So I wanted to let's just get into it because I have a lot to tell you guys about. God, there's so much going on. That at least with Trump, will never be without news. So you're probably thinking, who is this guy? Who's Richard Grenell? Well, he is this, I don't want to call him a Trump sycophant, but let's call him what he is. He's a man that has worked in Trump's orbit forever, right? And he wanted like Secretary of State. He wanted all of these other jobs and got passed over for them over and over and over and over, and he was whining. And then Trump made this announcement, which I just think is hilarious because is this a job? I don't know. I don't know if this is a job or like this guy. And really what it is, right? This Grenell guy, who he really is someone who's very close to Melania. So it's rumored that probably, he complained to Melania, who maybe influenced Trump into like, hey, can you make up a job for this guy? Because he's really upset, like he's not important to you. And now we got this announcement, which is he's our presidential envoy for special missions. Has somebody tell me if they've ever heard of this job? Is this a job or is this just like, here's a gold star, super special sticker for you. Like when a teacher is trying to make someone feel like they've done something good. Yeah, I think he fundraises a lot. I think in Trump's orbit, the people who are important are the people that are bringing him money or business opportunities, So I don't want to say that he's done nothing, because that's, if you're going to be an ambassador for him, if you're going to get a job, it basically, from what I can tell, it means either you have a lot of money and have given it to him, or you've raised a lot of money and given it to him. But yeah, it's super special presidential envoy for special missions. Rick will work in some of the hottest spots around the world, including Venezuela and North Korea. Is this a punishment? What? It's like being like, Rick's going to work in the hottest spots around the world, Antarctica and like Tasmania, which is an island off Australia, if you don't know. Yeah, I know. It's like, it sounds like he's being mailed away to places that they definitely don't want him. In my first term, Rick was the United States ambassador to Germany, acting director of national intelligence, and presidential envoy for Kosovo Serbia negotiations. Previously, he spent 8 years inside the United Nations Security Council. So, like I said, it's not like he's never done anything. And I think he thought in this new term, like this was his moment. He was about to be like Marco Rubio, and it didn't pan out for Rick. And like, look at this. Rick has a BA from Evangel College. Like, tell me Trump did not write. You know what I mean? Of course, Trump did not write this. This is one of the posts you can 100% tell that Donald Trump did not, in fact, write. But I just find it funny. Oh, yeah, I forgot. So I did find some. This is Ron Filipkowski's reporting on this. After getting passed over for Secretary of State and CIA, Rick Grinnell then started whining and crying to everyone in Trump's orbit who would listen. And he finally got a job as presidential envoy of special missions. So he is supposedly going to deal with hotspots, which means he either has no job or the worst job in the Trump administration, depending on how much they let him do. I could not agree more. Because what does that mean, hotspots? Great job tapping, you guys. I so appreciate it. Tap, tap, tap. Tapping is clapping. I also don't see Grinnell getting along with Marco Rubio at all. I know, I agree. I believe this appointment is mostly to placate Grinnell, to get him to stop whining. But the devil is in the details. And whenever Trump is as vague as this job description, that really means he has no specific portfolio for Grinnell and just wants to turn off the whining for a while. That's exactly, it's like literally giving someone like a fake certificate you printed off the internet, or like a plastic trophy and being like, here, you won. You're number one. Here's your plastic trophy. And this is what I was talking about. Grinnell's secret weapon is his friendship with Melania Trump. Maybe Trump wanted to get her off his back about this also. I have zero doubt that Grinnell called Melania for help, which I saw a video I'm going to show you guys in a couple of minutes. Maybe Trump had to do something to get Melania off his back after this fundraiser he had at Mar-a-Lago, where he was, I don't know, he was very interested in women that were not Melania, one in particular. I don't know who she is. I'm just saying, I mean, I'll show you the clip and you could judge for yourself. I'm just showing the receipts. That's all I'm doing here. Just playing the receipts. This is not a joke. Okay. And actually, I'm glad we're bringing this up now. And I wanted to start with this so then we can get to the breaking news that is also troubling me. Besides, Donald Trump, losing his mind in that press conference. Have you guys seen what's happening in Wisconsin? There's another mass tragedy involving children at a Christian school. If you don't know, this just happened. I feel like crying when as a former teacher, I really can't. I don't deal with this stuff well. And there's a lot of different reports, but I've seen 3 have been unalived, 5 injured. I've seen 4 unalived, 4 injured. I think that the story is developing. I think it does. Nearest I can tell, it involves a student, or actually, I don't know if it's a student, but a kid. That's what it sounds like. But right now, it's very tight-lipped. But that's why I bring this up. I saw this yesterday and I was like, is this real life? Is this company is set to make a lot of money. I think they're having a few issues with like the engineering of like pumping out these vending machines, but they're all over there. I think there's like a few of them across the South now. They're doing in grocery stores. If you're asking me, now, where would these machines be? Don't worry, guys, in a grocery store, right? Like, these machines are in grocery stores. And they talk about, this is the craziest part and the most disturbing thing, because we're talking about this mass tragedy that's in real time unfolding in Wisconsin. This is a vending machine where you just have to like certify that you're over a certain age. I think the vending machine company specifically says you have to be 21, but how I don't know exactly what their verification process is. These are literally in grocery stores, and they're acknowledging the craziest thing. And I advise everyone to read this article because this is what America is becoming. This vending machine company is acknowledging, like, oh yeah, we have a problem with, we recognize that the availability of pew pews and ammo when people are in mental health crises is actually it's more likely for tragedies to happen if they're readily available. But you're going to put them all across the country in grocery stores? I don't know. I can't, especially because of what is right now unfolding in Wisconsin. This is real life. This is capitalism. This seems like a very bad idea to me, with kids who are clearly in mental health crises. And now we're going to have these vending machines. Oh, maybe I did screenshot some of it because there was some. Let's see. Yes, here we go. Research indicates a correlation between firearm availability and, I'm trying. Wait. Unaliving yourself, which experts say is often an impulsive act, especially in rural areas. This is where it is concentrated, in rural areas, similar to those where American Rounds, that's the name of these vending machines, the company that owns them, American Rounds machines operate. Though the kiosks sell only ammunition and not the pew pews themselves, like that makes a difference, right? Because they're usually kept separately. Like at least that's how I know my friends who have children in the home, the ammunition's kept separately from the pew pew. What if the child can get an unloaded one? Then they can just stop by a vending machine, like it's a claw machine with stuffed animals in it, and get the ammo. Does anyone think? I don't know. I think this is a lawsuit waiting to happen. But this is what it said. They asked them about this, right? And they says it's aware of that phenomenon and has partnered with a pro Second Amendment mental health nonprofit, Walk the Talk America, to reach kiosk customers in crisis. Does anybody understand what I'm saying here? How are you going to know if someone in your vending machine, in front of your vending machine, is in crisis or not? And how are you going to reach them? Like, I think what they mean is it just has like the phone number. Do you know what I mean? It just has like the phone number of the company displays ads for mental health screenings on its machines. Like, that's going to help. I know. Should we take people's blood pressure, like vitals, and see if like I'm only laughing because this is so absurd. They're partnering with a mental health nonprofit to reach kiosk customers in crisis. Is someone going to stand next to the vending machine and question people? Because this seems like the worst idea yet in America, short of just being like, hey, at McDonald's, when you're getting your like Big Mac and extra large fries and your soda, you could now just pick up ammo. I don't know what's worse at this point than now we have ammo vending machines. And from what I read, this is going great. See, so they're going to have ads for the mental health nonprofit. The company displays ads for mental health screenings on its machines, which also shows customers the national, unaliving yourself hotline phone number before every use, before it dispenses you the stuff to unalive yourself. It's like, here's a phone number. What could go wrong? I don't know. Welcome to America. We're in America. Okay. And I hinted at this last week. This happened over the weekend. So I'm just confirming that, yes, this did in fact happen. And there are many pictures that you can witness of. You can go look up of it online. Thank you so much for subscribing, Cootery. If you guys want to help, I'm trying to get to my subscription goal today, which is 500. I think I'm at like 448. If you want to subscribe, it would be much, much appreciated. I touched on this about Daniel Penny. These are the people, I gave you that side by side of what Fox News was doing yesterday, basically, or last week, saying, hey, this Luigi kid violated someone's bodily autonomy. He's a bad person, and they're making him a hero. Meanwhile, the real hero is Daniel Penny, right? Daniel Penny unalived a man in a mental health crisis who hadn't touched anyone on a subway. And his reward for doing that was to go to a football game with these people. And that's what this guy is saying. I don't know. If you don't follow Khalid Rugg, don't. It's not pretty. But he says, save subway passengers from a blanked out maniac, gets prosecuted by DA Alvin Bragg, gets acquitted after a brutal year and a half, spends the day with Donald Trump and JD Vance. Well deserved. Exactly. It's like Kyle Rittenhouse, the return of Kyle Rittenhouse. Amen. And again, this is a man who was in a mental health crisis, was diagnosed schizophrenic, had not touched anyone, was just yelling things on the subway, which again, if you've worked or lived in New York City and taken the subway into the city, par for the course. But again, here it is. This is your reward, right? And again, I don't support anyone's bodily autonomy being violated. If you need the definition of bodily autonomy, that's, everyone should be able to make decisions about their body, their person, without fear of coercion or violence. And I always use the example, women don't have bodily autonomy in this country right now. Half the country doesn't have it. I think everyone should have bodily autonomy, but I find it very interesting that this man unalived someone in a mental health crisis and is a literal hero. There were people on Fox News last week saying they should erect a statue to him. Make it make sense. Tanya, thank you so much for subscribing. Your support is always much appreciated. I know. And celebrating it, right? And that's fine. If you truly say, hey, he was in danger, I don't think there's a question that you can restrain someone who people are in fear of. Thank you so much for subscribing, you guys. Thank you. I think the question is the 6 minutes that the chokehold went on, right? That everybody had gotten off the train and it continued, right? That is the real. And then saying, let's erect statues in this man's honor. Next. Now, I kind of like this one. You know how Trump's inauguration is coming up and he's getting all of these billionaires to give him $1 million each. We had Mark Zuckerberg give him $1 million, Jeff Bezos, the guy that owns Mark Benioff, the Salesforce CEO, and the guy who owns Time Magazine made him Man of the Year. They're all kind of lining up to work, as this oligarchy forms in worship at his feet. Well, guess who won't be coming to the inauguration? Jimmy Carter. Are you saddened or bothered by this? Jimmy Carter 100 will skip Donald Trump's inauguration, joining a growing list of Democrats who will not show up. What does the million go to? It's allegedly just for the production of the inauguration. I don't know if that's musical acts. I don't know how much an inauguration costs, but that's what they are saying the money goes to. It's for his inauguration celebration. Yeah, I know. I don't know why they would think a 100-year-old man who's barely alive would be there anyways. But MAGA is very, very upset that I guess he won't be wheeled into the inauguration. In case you guys don't know, Jimmy Carter is legit in hospice. He's not, it's not like he could skip in. Yeah, it's not I don't know exactly how they want him to attend, but there's a lot of people on X that are like, how dare Jimmy Carter not be there at Donald Trump's inauguration? Okay, and here's Anna Paulina Lunatic. This is them this weekend, right? with Florida's next governor, Brian Donalds. Florida, have you heard about this? Is Byron Donalds going to run for governor of Florida? Can you imagine? Like, you think that it can't get worse for Ron DeSantis? I guess it can, Florida. I don't know if this is a joke or this is the beginnings of like your future. But I just thought I would put you guys on notice that I've seen a few people, different people in Congress who work with Byron Donalds, implying that this man is going to run for governor of Florida. And I've told you guys before, but if you don't remember, Byron Donalds was basically bankrolled and funded. Like his political career, he's a Rick Scott creation, the richest man in the Senate. Rick Scott, largest Medicare fraud in like Texas history, I think. That Rick Scott, now Florida senator. So I say that to say he has the backing of a very rich person that could bankroll the campaign if they wanted him to run. And it depends on what DeSantis does, but if DeSantis possibly becomes Secretary of State, I don't know, maybe there will be an opening sooner rather than later, but it seems like. And if you don't know, Byron Donalds is married to like one of the original founders of like Moms for Liberty. Or she was like on the board. There's articles written about him and his wife, which I suggest do some research on. And if you think Ron DeSantis is scary and doesn't know how to legislate, yeah, I would just suggest meet Byron Donalds. It could get worse for you down there. Just when you think it can't, it could. Guys, thank you so much. Keep tapping the screen, sharing the live. All the support is much, much appreciated. I don't know, you guys. I don't subscribe to this, but this is real life. This is from Patriot Takes, who, if you don't follow Patriot Takes, I suggest it. Some people have MAGA neighbors like this. This is someone's real house. Are you like, is this big enough? Can you guys, I'm not sure what is going on with this mannequin. This is the only thing I'm really not fully grasping. What's the mannequin for? Like, why is there a mannequin with clothes on? But this is someone's. I guess they're blocking their own garage for this display. Is this their equivalent of like decorating for Christmas? And then like look back in the background, like it honestly looks like a third grader wrote these signs. Someone's cookies that I live near home. That's even worse. I feel so bad. But does anyone understand the mannequin? Am I missing something? I was looking in the comments and I was just like, is there a reason there's a headless mannequin here? Or is this just, I'm not missing a major part of this. No, does this make sense? And I can't. Yeah, I don't understand the mannequin. And like, where'd you get the mannequin? Oh, okay, here we go. This is what I was telling you guys about. Hold on one second. Let me make sure it's big enough. I was telling you that maybe the reason, there's speculation going on that Rich Grinnell got that like made up special envoy position because he's really close with Melania, and he probably went to Melania and Trump wanted to get them both off his back and just made up a job. Well, this is a fundraiser, which I'll get into a little farther into the show. Oh man, you guys. I mean, so many billionaires were there. Ones that especially one I wouldn't even, let me just put it this way. Guess who was at Mar-a-Lago this weekend and seemed to just be schmoozing with Trump and Elon Musk? Tim Cook, the Apple CEO, Tim Cook, Apple CEO, who, I mean, he's like an advocate for the LGBTQIA. I thought he was. He's a gay man. I thought I really did enjoy most of his, I thought he was pretty liberal. But I don't know. Like, we shall see. But anyways, so this is why. This is Trump at this party He's giving a speech, and then some girl is comes onto the patio, like off to the side, that nobody really. I don't know who she is. And Trump, just watch this. If I was Melania, I would be really tired of these moments of being like weirdly humiliated on the internet, because there are people all over the internet talking about this.
Oh, look who showed up. How are you, darling? Oh, is she good looking? Goodbye, everybody. Have a good time. I'll see you later. Thank you very much. Thank you. Oh, look who showed up. How are you, darling? Oh, is she good looking? Goodbye, everybody. Have a good time. I'll see you later. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Oh, she showed up. And like, I'm telling you, like, so many, everybody you could imagine, pretty much the who's who of American business is there. And like, I guess that's somebody Trump invited. Like, awkward stuff. Where's Melania? She's probably just so tired of this. Like, I guess they're okay with Clinton. I mean, I'm not okay with how Clinton treats women either, but yeah, Trump puts it to shame. I read articles all the time, and I can't remember her name right now, but I'll look it up and I'll tell you guys next time. There's a woman who, I was reading an article about Trump, and like, everyone is quoted as saying, like, she basically wrote him a letter. This is going to come as a shock. She's a blonde, and wrote him a letter and said, I would like us to be able to talk about anything and everything, and like, take your problems away when you're stressed out. And this woman said, no, not Laura Loomer. It's not someone like that. No, like, this is, I should try to look up her name. And like, Lindsey Graham is quoted as saying, oh yeah, if I need anything from Donald Trump, I always contact her. Like, I always know if anyone needs to get hold of Trump, we go through her, and not the woman that like prints things out for him and makes six figures, a different woman. And so there's a lot of women is my point, but we must move on to, oh no, that is not Laura Loomer. No. Oh, not the woman in the video. No, that's not Laura Loomer. We must move on to something really important, which at first I was like, this is ridiculous and I don't need to talk about this. But over the weekend, it's becoming obvious that I do. Drone Gate, which is, does anyone remember Weather Balloon Gate? We're back at Weather Balloon Gate. We are legit back at Weather Balloon Gate. Like, oh, something's flying around in the sky. Republicans don't understand laws and technology. And Trump needs to distract from the fact. Remember last week when Trump made the mistake of basically saying, oh yeah, I can't lower grocery prices. He definitely needed a distraction. So started clinging to this drone thing, right? Mystery drone sighting all over the country. Can this really be happening without our government's knowledge? I don't think so. Let the public know. And now otherwise shot them down. DJT. They corrected the spelling on this, but I did think it was funny how he posted in the first place. No, shot them down. No, I know, not all over the country. He's just inciting fear. If you knew, as someone who's on X all the time, because I'm making these outlines and keeping an eye on what's going on with MAGA, if you understood, this is not a joke. And I'm just going to show you some of what is going on the right. Like, there are people saying we should impeach Biden over that, like, that this is a conspiracy. It's out of control. But first, let's hear from a sane person who was an Air Force pilot and is also an unmanned drone pilot.
With former Congressman Adam Kinzinger. See you, Congressman. So, what do you make of how federal agencies have thus far responded to these sightings so far? Secretary Mayorkas saying, we're looking at them. They pose no national threat at this time. Is enough being said or done to reassure people?
I mean, look, if people don't want to be reassured, then the answer is no. And, look, what I'm hearing from Homeland and what I'm hearing from FBI is we don't see a threat here. And look, honestly, every video I've seen, and I've spent the last couple of days looking at every one of these videos, every video I have seen on Twitter or on the internet are all airplanes. They're literally.
Wait till you guys see what I have to show you. You're like, who cares about this? Oh, you're going to see the havoc. This is the misinformation and disinformation that is being spread and the damage it's doing. This is much more serious. Like, for us sane people, you would think, oh, this is not that big of a deal. It's become one.
All airplanes. Some of them will show an airplane that's kind of stable out there and says that's a drone. And actually, it's an airplane flying towards you at 30,000 feet. And I can see the lighting on it. And if there are drones out there, by the way, and if any of these pictures that they have shown are actual drones, these drones then are complying with FAA lighting requirements, a green on the right, a red on the left with a strobe. And so it's not a run. It's not aliens if there are drones. My guess is if there are drones, again, because again, all I've seen are airplanes, then it is more than likely some company that's out testing drones or something like that and has no requirement to tell the public that they're doing it because they're actually operating these things legally. There have been no accusations of illegal operations. By the way, as a pilot myself, I can fly over a military base whenever I want. Those restrictions don't exist. So I think there's a lot of mass hysteria, and I've heard stories of people pointing lasers at these quote-unquote drones, and then the drones' lights go off. Actually, let's be clear. I've been lased as a pilot before. You're supposed to turn off all your lights once you get lased so that they can't find you because it can actually damage your eyes.
With former
Well, don't make sense, Adam. And like you would think that Adam says this and people on the right are like, oh, okay, like that makes sense. So I'm just going to give you an example. Like basically, the more that anyone tries to make sense and reason with MAGA, the more they disparage them and basically accuse them of lying. Thank you so much for the gifts. Adam Kinzinger says after spending a couple days looking at videos, oh yeah, and being an Air Force pilot, he can confidently say the New Jersey drones are just airplanes. That's not what he said. He said much more than that. The drone expert said there's nothing to be worried about because the FBI told him everything is okay. That is not what he said. I spent that he quotes him. They're literally all airplanes. Again, but this is the sentiment. And if you saw the comments that people are saying, like the more anyone tries to be like, hey, like, do you want us to actually make sense and explain this to you? The more the hysteria increases. Oopsies. That was an accident. And let me show you. Okay, actually, let me show you what I found recently. This is real life, people. I can't even deal. I'm going to blow your mind with this.
And they know exactly who they are and where they're coming from. Or people are breaking the laws and going against our rules and those drones shot down.
Yeah, you're absolutely.
Again, this is about deregulation, right? If you want to regulate drone rules, you can regulate drone rules. And that can be state by state or it can be federally. You can make laws. What Adam Kinzinger is saying and what is true, because I checked, is none of these drones that are operating are breaking any laws. That's exactly what the FBI is saying. And the reason that there's more drones in the sky is because the FAA changed regulations recently so drones could fly at night. That's why there are more drones, because regulations changed and people can now operate them at night. And as somebody who, the last narcissist I dated, true story, and for fear he may ever hear this, I'm just going to say nice things. And if this was happening where he used to live, I would tell you, I know who's doing this. And he, let's just say he has a security clearance and works on an Air Force base. And when I heard this, I was like, man, if this was happening somewhere else near that base, I'd be like, oh, I know who's probably doing this. Because you can. I saw through somebody that I dated years ago, like what people are not allowed to do with unmanned drones. And the answer is pretty much whatever you want, depending on the state. And like they said, you used to not be able to fly them at night. Now you can. And you're not required to report what you're doing. It's not like a plane taking off. You don't have to report your flight path or something. So This is just, and listen to Maria again. Just listen to the way Fox News twists everything to spread misinformation and disinformation. Like, it starts out not even that bad and just goes into crazy town.
You're right. I think they are breaking the law. I think we've had a vast proliferation of drones in the private sector, and I think they are not being controlled adequately, because you're absolutely right. Drones over a certain size are supposed to be registered. I think they're not being registered. Again, the government has to come clean on what's the deal here, and they haven't. Hopefully this week they will.
I mean, do you believe they're from China surveilling America?
They certainly could be. We've admitted, Maria, we've admitted tens of thousands of Chinese nationals with our wide open border. It's not beyond belief to believe that some of them are actually flying drones over sensitive facilities.
Okay, so which one is it? Is China launching drones from China and flying them over New Jersey? Does anyone understand that, like, how far that, does anyone understand that? No, they're not doing that. But that's what Maria is suggesting. And then this guy moves on to, hey, if you're Chinese and in America, you could be up to something and flying drones as a spy. I don't know how Chinese people in America can stand this BS. I mean, that's what is going on Fox. We went from, first of all, it was Representative Jeff Van Drew started with, it's Iran, and they have a ship I've heard they have a ship off the coast of the eastern seaboard, and they're launching drones from that ship. And then people are like, no, that's not true. So now apparently they're blaming it on China, because remember the weather balloon thing? Which, if you did any research into the weather balloon thing, which might come as a shock to you guys, I do love to do research. And, if you remember, during Trump's first presidency, weather balloons flew over the United States. We now know. But because we didn't have the radar capabilities we had during Biden's presidency, we didn't even catch them. China just thought, hey, we did it before and got away with it. We'll do it again. But we had improved our technology and were able to then see what they were doing. It's because we innovated and improved our technology that we were then able to identify that it was going on. But let's not let's not say the truth and make sense of things. It's better if it's Iran off the coast of the eastern seaboard with a ship, or it's Chinese nationals.
This is absolutely stunning, Congressman. I mean, no wonder Joe Biden lost and Kamala Harris lost as hard as they did.
You see what they did there? What does that have to do with anything, Maria? It has nothing to do with drones that you guys say you want to deregulate, right? This is deregulation. Letting random companies and people fly drones around in highly populated areas and airspaces, fly them over military bases, that's legal in New Jersey. I think they made a no-fly zone. Did anyone stop? No. But if you want to stop that, what do you have to do? You have to start making people be licensed operators. You have to regulate. That's the answer. Republicans are the party of deregulation. This is what you want when you deregulate. You want chaos, and then you just blame it on Joe Biden. Make it make sense. Oh, man, we'll get to that. Sorry. I forgot that I was at the end again. Let me get back to my spot with the never-ending drone conspiracy. Oh, yeah, and I'm just showing you what they're doing to Adam Kinzinger. This is never-ending stuff. Because Adam Kinzinger, a former Air Force pilot, had the nerve to go on CNN and make sense. I just try to tell people, hey, I'm a pilot and I'm a drone pilot. And there's nothing illegal about what's happening here. A company that's testing a bunch of drones, if they're a drone company who's testing their products, they don't have to tell anyone. Has anyone ever been to Burning Man? They have thousands of drones, just like the drones these people are seeing that fly up in amazing patterns and do light shows, coordinated light shows. Have you ever, thousands of drones at once? Are people like, oh, it's China? No, we're like, oh, there's a really cool unmanned drone laser light show. It's almost like people don't know what drones can and can't do. You just program them and they do anything you want them to do.
They're not moving. They're staying stationary. They're hovering.
They kind of look wide too.
Look at the lights changing.
It is moving.
No, it's not.
It looks like it.
Yeah, but they're not moving. That's an airplane. Hang on.
Which one? The one closest to the Capitol building?
I can't get over this.
Hang on, let me zoom out a little bit. Yeah, that's an airplane.
But the one in the middle, that one.
That's an airplane. You can see it moving.
Yeah.
The one to the right, or over here,
The one behind the Capitol building is not an airplane.
or over here. That's an airplane. Okay.
Yeah, over there is, but look at that one.
And I'm saying, like, when you look to the left of the Capitol,
That one.
those are not moving.
Yeah.
I'm telling you.
So again, that's an example. Now, this is real life, people. That's an example of one of these many videos that I'm telling you, there are thousands of these videos and people are like, see, that one's not moving. No, it's planes flying directly at you. And these are all being like drones are being reported over the US Capitol. That's the video. Look. Here, these are getting community noted. Elon Musk's website is pointing out that these are lies. Like, why can't I make this bigger? Hold on. I might have to go in. Let me go in and out really quick and see if it helps me. Okay, there we go. I hate when I can't enlarge it for you guys. Hold on. Yeah, so that stupid video of these people who think they're discovering that drones are hovering over the U.S. Capitol, right? It says, these are regular aircraft on approach to DCA. Do you know how you know? Because with aircrafts, they do have to report their flight patterns. So I'm going to show, like, you just don't understand how ridiculous this whole thing is. There's no relative movement for the observer because the observer is lined up on the same heading as runway 01, which, by the way, is exactly what Adam Kinzinger was explaining to people on CNN. The runway these airplanes are approaching, strobe light patterns indicate various Airbus, Boeing, or Embraer aircrafts. Oh, we learn something new every day, MAGA. And this is the one good thing about Elon Musk's website. This is just a civilian, but what's happening is this has begun escalating because apparently getting attention is super important now in America, is the most important thing if you're a politician. So why should you not create mass hysteria if you can just get some attention doing it? So Mayorkas, bless his heart, I don't even know how he can do it at this point, but as the Homeland Security Secretary goes on TV to talk about this.
Look, it is our job to be vigilant in the federal government with our state and local partners on behalf of the American public, and we can assure their safety by reason of that vigilance. We've deployed personnel, technology, and if there is any reason for concern, if we identify any foreign involvement or criminal activity, we will communicate with the American public accordingly. Right now, we are not aware of any. If we become aware of any, we will communicate accordingly and take appropriate action.
Secretary.
Well, that sounded reasonable, didn't it? I think that sounds very reasonable. So I just want to show you what the responses are to Mayorkas just saying the truth. Guys, we're almost to 100K. Keep tapping the screen. Let's get to 100K. I really appreciate you guys tapping. Tapping is clapping. Help me keep my engagement up. It means the absolute world to me. As well, this is my Cash App and Venmo. I do rely on your tips and donations to keep my show going. If you would like me to read a message aloud, I will open them now. Sorry, I have a lot going on. And I will periodically read them aloud. I appreciate all your support, guys. Okay. So this is, again, I'm just using Colin Rugg because if you don't know who he is, he's a well-known MAGA supporter on X. Alejandro Mayorkas says people in New Jersey are seeing so many drones at night because the FAA allowed drones to fly at night 15 months ago. That's true. The laws changed. And when a law changes and goes into effect, do people immediately launch a bunch of drones into the air? Or do people be like, oh, the laws have changed. I can do this at night. Well, now I'm interested in doing it and let me plan that. And 15 months later, we have a lot of drones flying around at night. Could that maybe, I think it's more likely what Adam Kinzinger said. There are unmanned drones that do laser light shows, or some company that uses coordinated drone flight paths for their business is testing them and flying them at night. The gaslighting continues. Mayorkas said the government is on it in regards to the drones before claiming they didn't have the authority to address the drone situation. In September of 2023, the Federal Aviation Administration, the FAA, changed the rules so drones could fly at night, which is true. And now you have a lot of drones flying at night. That's what happens. Allow things to happen and make it legal, then maybe it happens. Yeah, anyway, so these are just quotes. So here's another longer clip of Mayorkas attempting to calm the mass hysteria.
Absolutely, George, and thank you very much for having me. There's no question that people are seeing drones, and I want to assure the American public that we in the federal government have deployed additional resources, personnel, technology to assist the New Jersey State Police in addressing the drone sightings. Some of those drone sightings are, in fact, drones. Some are manned aircraft that are commonly mistaken for drones, and we do see duplicative reporting. But there's no question that drones are being sighted. Let me set the record straight here, George. There are thousands of drones flown every day in the United States. Recreational drones, commercial drones. That is the reality. And in September of 2023, the Federal Aviation Administration, the FAA, changed the rules so that drones could fly at night. And that may be one of the reasons why now people are seeing more drones than they did before, especially from dawn to dusk. And so that is the reality. But I want to assure the American public that we are on it. We are working in close coordination with state and local authorities. And it is critical, as we all have said for a number of years, that we need from Congress additional authorities to address the drone situation. Our authorities currently are limited, and they are set to expire. We need them extended and expanded.
What he's talking about is funding the Department of Homeland Security, not just that, the government, so the response to this online, I could tell you, is people what does he mean authorities limit? What does he mean it's what is he talking about? It's called the government is going to shut down on Friday. And if you knew anything about Congress and how the budget's working, he's saying, my guess is specifically the disaster relief fund, the Republican Party, MAGA, the whole disinformation campaign saying, they moved funds out of the disaster relief fund, when the reality is the only person that ever did that was Donald Trump. Well, the disaster relief fund needs more money in it. That's under the Department of Homeland Security. There's going to be a government shutdown on Friday if Republicans can't figure this ish out, right? That's what he's talking about. But this has now developed into another conspiracy. And that's the point. The distraction is the point. This is what Fox News is so good at, and Newsmax is following suit. Creating fake conspiracy is saying, isn't this weird? Isn't this weird? So any logical explanation, right, in people in cognitive dissonance's mind is just see, it's a cover up. Is it a cover up, or do you just not understand drones? And this is a New Jersey state senator. I mean, I'm just trying to give you guys an example of, you think these people are disingenuous. But if I was hearing these things, if I was in the state of New Jersey, I would be like, what? This is a New Jersey state senator. I won't show you all of this, but when I say there must be something going on that they can't tell us because they're so fearful of what the public is going to do when we hear what the drones are doing. Is that what it is? Oh my gosh. And this is going to blow your mind. This is really where it gets crazy. Do you guys know who Larry Hogan is? I mean, everyone from the Eastern Seaboard. This is the former governor of Maryland. of all the Republicans governors left, this is allegedly the sanest one. This is the one where people are like, well, Larry Hogan handled COVID well. Like, he's not a bad guy, right? He doesn't spread misinformation and disinformation. He wouldn't feed into this BS. Now, of everyone who's wasting our time and furthering these ridiculous distractions and carrying water for Trump, when the real story should be, hey, why do you have 15 billionaires in your cabinet? Why do the 15 billionaires in your cabinet have more wealth than 169 countries? Like, that's the real story. And instead of that, Larry Hogan, who I previously thought was a good person, is now like, here's my chance to get attention, right? He's like, oh, I don't approve of Donald Trump, but still tried to unseat Angela Alsobrooks, right? Still ran against her for Senate. He was still a Republican Senate candidate against Angela Alsobrooks, who's fabulous. And now he did this. And I mean, this has gotten millions. Everybody across the internet is talking about this. And you can look this up after and you'll see how big this is not a small thing I'm talking about. So at like 9:45 on Saturday, Larry Hogan decides he needs some attention and is super bored and starts going, last night, beginning at around 9:45 p.m., I personally witnessed and videoed what appeared to be dozens of large drones in the sky above my residence in Davidsonville, Maryland, 25 miles from our nation's capital. I observed the activity for approximately 45 minutes. Like many who have observed these drones, I do not know if this increasing activity over our skies is a threat to the public safety or national security, but the public is growing increasingly concerned and frustrated with the complete lack of transparency and the dismissive attitude of the federal government. Larry, I think they told you exactly what they knew. The government has the ability to track these from their point of origin, but has mounted a negligent response. People are rightfully clamoring for answers, but aren't getting any. You guys are going to die when you figure out what Larry has done. We are being told that neither the White House, the military, the FBI, or Homeland Security have any idea what they are. You tell me, because it's a mix, right? You're allowed to fly drones at night. 15 months ago, they changed the law. Now we're reaching critical mass. It's a combination of personal drones and commercial drones. What do you want? Do you want us to release a list of every American citizen who has a drone and has been piloting one? That seems like a violation of people's rights. They're not committing a crime. Do you want their addresses, their phone numbers? What do you want us to do about people who are doing absolutely nothing wrong? Anyways, that response is entirely unacceptable. I join with the growing bipartisan chorus of leaders demanding that the federal government immediately address this issue. The American people deserve answers and actions now. Well, what has now turned out to be the most embarrassing moment of Larry Hogan's life, and I am not even joking you. This is of all the people who have embarrassed themselves saying embarrassing things and getting community noted on X and publicly humiliated, if I was Larry, I would have taken it down. I just for my own unwillingness to be publicly humiliated, I would have just been like, I have to delete it. To his credit and for his constituents, it's probably more honest that he doesn't take this ridiculous crap down. But again, I have shame. I would delete my account. You're going to die. Okay, so I just want to show you, this is just some of Larry's evidence. So I'm just going to show you some of the evidence and then we'll get to why Larry is so painfully wrong. By the way, it looks like Larry's moving the camera. Do you know what I mean? It's like, Larry, are the drones moving or are you swinging your arms back and forth with your phone? You know what I'm saying? But anyways, Larry's basically just, he sees some lights in the sky and he's like, yeah, something is playing. Yeah, it doesn't look like anything's playing. I promise you it is. It is. You can see it. Did you see that one? I'm telling you, this is Larry's evidence, and it's not a black screen, you guys. This is Larry's evidence. This is Larry's evidence, you guys. This is not a black screen. You just think it's a black screen. This is probably his finger in front of the phone at this point. We don't know. This is Larry's evidence. No, and actually, if you turned off all the lights wherever you are and you saw it, there are lights in the background. And people did, in fact, inform Larry what he was looking at, which is the best part of this. Yeah, so I wish for Larry's sake we were looking at a black screen. We're not. So that's enough of this ridiculous. That's Larry's evidence that warranted that insane message that calls out the federal government and says no one's doing anything and Larry's scared, right? Well, here we get to it. Now, and I want to say people are nice about this. There are scientists, there are astronomers, there are pilots, there are aircraft controllers responding to Larry Hogan. I suggest if you want to die laughing for the rest of your life, go look at this post on it. You will never stop laughing. Because people aren't even being mean to the guy. They're just like, sir. With immense respect, Mr. Governor, this is the constellation Orion. It's made up of 2 stars between 244 and 1,344 light years away. The stars will be in a similar place tomorrow. Look, and they are actually making this guy diagrams. Like, everyone knows Orion, like Betelgeuse. These are the brightest stars in the sky. Larry Hogan... And it's not just, he wasn't just filming stars. Okay, first the astronomers are like, hey, I can tell you very clearly what you're looking at, sir. This is when it's brightest in the sky, especially over the eastern seaboard. And they're showing him Bellatrix, Betelgeuse. They're showing him all and showing him exactly where they are. And people have like videos of this and the positioning. So look, last night, so they're showing him, no, this is what you're looking at. You're looking at the brightest constellation in the sky right now. Yeah, guys, keep tapping the screen for me. Tapping is clapping. If you like all the hard work I do, calling out MAGA's ridiculousness and what they're up to all the time and showing the people's receipts, please tap the screen, share the live. If you don't have anyone to share the live with, please hit the copy link button. Please gift. This is my Cash App and Venmo. If you would like to support me, that's the best way to do so. We're almost to our gifting live goal. Please help me out with that. If you do not follow me, please follow me right now, both here and on YouTube. This live is being streamed to X, to Twitch, to YouTube. If you ever want to watch any of these replays, they post on YouTube once the lives are over. I think I have said everything. Keep tapping the screen. Tap, tap, tap. Okay. So again, astronomers start calling him out and they're like, actually, you're looking at the brightest constellation in the sky, which is hilarious. And then, this guy was super nice to him because people are not being so nice to Larry. And they're like, here's the other 2 ones you're seeing. Like, this, it's Sirius and Procyon. I'm not sure how to pronounce all these. I only took 1 college astronomy class. But they're very nicely telling him, hey, you're seeing constellations and you're waving your arms around. This guy's like, with immense Texas hedge, with immense respect, Mr. Governor, once you've had a chance to digest this, please consider deleting your accounts. And oh my God, it's so MAGA's so out of control. And this is actually a video which it is moving, and I filmed it for you guys. But you have discovered Betelgeuse and Bellatrix. These are the 2 brightest constellations brightest stars in the constellation of Orion. And this guy is actually filming the sky's movement that night. And mapping what he's showing you, like, this is what you're seeing, and this is people really took this investigation far. They're like, you have no idea what you talk. Oh yeah, and that's the funny part. People don't understand. Arizona, I'm from Arizona. Arizona is one of the states where they're testing Amazon drones. Amazon drones drop off packages here. Right. So, yeah, I mean, businesses use drones to drop off packages. They were saying one of the things MAGA is talking about all weekend on X is I guess there's a guy, and I think I'm going to get the state wrong, probably chat. Someone will know. There's a man who Walmart was testing drones dropping off packages. And I guess he pew-pewed one of Walmart's drones. And they're like, we should get that guy. He should come to New Jersey and pew pew all these things out of the sky. These things cost a lot of money. I wouldn't suggest when people are operating drones legally, destroying them. That sounds like a lawsuit waiting to happen. But I mean, can we count them not to do this? No, I don't think these people get it. Oh, and so then the pilots start weighing in and the air traffic controllers. Like, first the astronomers are like, hey, you are looking at the constellation Orion. And then the pilots start weighing in and people that track flight data in the area. And they're like, below is the flight data around Davidsonville, Maryland, 9:40 to 9:55 p.m. Around 9:42 p.m., 3 aircraft begin to fly pretty close to you. It takes them 10 minutes to fully pass you and land at BWI Airport. Also, in your video, when you pan up, it looks like the constellation Orion. And still, I checked it. It was still up this morning, last time I looked. And this guy is nice enough. And this is a video he made showing the governor the flight paths around his home in Davidsonville, Maryland, to be like, no, you're just looking at a combination of planes and stars, sir. Can't accuse these people of being but hey, let's defund the Department of Education, right? That's what we need to do. Clearly, we need. I know Larry Hogan probably needs to move and get in. We can't accuse these people of going to astronomy school. Keep tapping the screen, guys. Tap, tap, tap. Let's try to get to 150K as fast as possible. But literally, I mean, I think these people were pretty nice considering how embarrassing this was. And now I want to get to Trump. So I showed you at first how Trump, the distraction is always the point. We should be talking about how there's more, we're forming an American oligarchy. And we should all be very concerned about that. And Trump is posting things saying, hey, if you have $1 billion, we'll cut all the red tape. Small businesses be damned. Small manufacturers be damned. You have $1 billion. Environmental regulations, you can do forget those. You can do whatever you want. Everyone else, you are subject to the same laws. That's crony capitalism. Right? That is what damages competition in a free market. But we're here with the former governor of Maryland looking at constellations and planes and accusing them of being drones. So this is Trump's latest thing, right? And it's disgusting. Trigger warning. This is Trump's late explanation for why, and how ironic is it? Like, have people and the cruel things that are being said about Chris Christie. It's like, have pot calling kettle. I do not understand. The man that says he eats McDonald's every single day and does not look much better is dragging Chris Christie. It makes no sense. But this is what Trump is posting on True Social and people are talking about. Imagine. And Trump wants to sue people for hurting his reputation. And I like this I thought this was a good observation of what he's doing to Chris Christie. Sort of amazing that so many of his followers are saying, hey, this is hilarious. Chris Christie is fat. And so all the drones are him ordering McDonald's. Get it? Have they ever seen Trump up close? Would posting something that fat shamed Trump also be funny? Exactly. Imagine if somebody did this to Trump. Would it be funny then? No. That's why this is hypocrisy and the line of logic makes no sense. Donald Trump is setting the precedent that if you just point out true things, he'll sue you arbitrarily, right? But he can be cruel and make up things and say things and do whatever he wants, right? The line of logic makes no sense. Yeah, exactly. We can't have any narcissistic injury. W. Jin, great point. Exactly. He wouldn't survive it. Okay, and now I want to move on to Luigi. Sorry, that drone thing was a little long, but that's this week's distraction, right? They're not done with this. That clip I showed you of Maria Bartiromo, that's this morning. Fox was leading with that story. Like this, it's not over. They're not going to think how long the weather balloon nightmare lasted. This is not going away. So I just wanted to show you because one of MAGA's other conspiracy theories, because I'm all over X all day and I happen to notice these, one of the long running conspiracies is, how could no one notice it's him? He's from Maryland and nobody called and reported that it looked like him. Like, this doesn't make any sense. It's a conspiracy. So this is just to be clear. Luigi Mangione's family reported him missing last month, and his mother told police that her son could be the person seen in surveillance photos the day before his arrest for the unaliving of United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson. So his family did say something. Just to be clear, because there is there's a big dispute going on online, or what MAGA calls a conspiracy, right? No, apparently his mother did in fact contact the police and say, oh, that looks like my son. And they had reported him missing. He had gone missing. And there's different reports for like how long. Different people were saying for how long. I heard a couple weeks. Apparently his mother's like, I hadn't seen him for a month. And he went completely dark. And people were contacting people about it. And when they saw the photos of him, his mother did contact authorities. Yeah, and these are just articles I want to call out. And I wanted to say, I think we'll get more in depth because we're going to cover, I touched on this last week. A ProPublica article came out about United Healthcare and how they're denying children with autism the care that they need. So I think tomorrow on the broadcast, which starts a little earlier, it starts at 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern time. We'll go over that with Danielle because she's an actual doctor and she has a lot of great information about the healthcare industry and about dealing with insurance, but since she does it herself on the regular. But, people said, I do suggest, this is an interesting article I found. It's just it's being presented in the insurance industry like, oh, Brian Thompson was a saint. And like, we have no idea where this has come from. It seems like they were long worried about United Healthcare's negative image, negative press, the investigations that were going on in Congress, pieces that were being reported on in local media, the damage because of their pre-authorization, which is, if you don't know what pre-authorizations is, those are the automatic denials that were happening through an algorithm. Like, all of this was stuff that was United Healthcare was worried about, and specifically Brian Thompson was worried about. This is now we're in crazy town, and welcome to actual crazy town. So a woman, this is real, a woman who has United Healthcare has children. I think she's like a nurse. She works in healthcare or something. Have you guys heard about this woman? This is, don't make any sarcastic comments. Don't say anything to anybody at your insurance, because this woman might be facing 15 years in prison for real. This is not a joke, and I suggest everyone read more into this because I was like, this cannot be real. U.S. woman was arrested for allegedly is right. She was talking to I think Blue Cross Blue Shield, or let me make sure I get the story right. Blue Cross Blue Shield. A Florida woman, and yeah, this is a Florida judge, It's a very scary time to be in Florida. A Florida woman has been arrested and charged after allegedly using the same language associated with the suspect in the unaliving of a top insurance executive. All she did, I don't even like how the way this words it, but her name's Brianna Boston. She's 42, had just had a medical claim denied, and was talking on a phone call with a representative from Blue Cross Blue Shield. The Lakeland resident then allegedly said, "Delay, deny, depose. You people are next." According to the arrest affidavit obtained by ABC News, when Lakeland, sorry, let me make this a little smaller so I can see. When Lakeland police confronted Boston, she apologized and said that she used those words because it's what's in the news right now. Boston told police she did not own any pew-pews and is not a threat, but she did say that healthcare companies deserve karma and were evil, according to the document reported by ABC. She was charged with THREATS to conduct a mass unaliving or act of T-ism. This is whatever happened to free speech? If she's facing up to 15 years. And they did not want, they set her bail, if I'm not mistaken, at 100,000, 100K. For saying words. How many people have ever, I was talking about this when I was live earlier with facts. How many people have been on hold with an insurance company when they are denying your claim for 6 hours? And you're so mad. I've yelled at insurance agents out of frustration. It scares me to even think about, because I personally, when I talk about this, 4 years ago, I almost died. I was on the phone for hours a day with the insurance company trying to work through automatic, the pre-auth denials, and then going back to the doctors, trying to them to write what I needed, so then to send it back to the insurance companies. And they're crowdfunding for her, and she's raised, I think they are crowdfunding for this woman, and I think she's gotten a lot of money. But let me just show, this is her bail hearing.
$100,000 is appropriate considering the status of our country at this point. If she is released, she'll be on home.
$100,000 for saying words on the phone when you're desperately trying to get health care and being denied it. Yeah, I know. Let's just repeat that. This is, again, a judge in Florida. It doesn't sound like Florida's a great place to be right now.
$100,000 is appropriate considering the status of our country at this point. If she is released, she'll be on home detention with GPS conditions, so she won't be released until GPS is provided to her. That will be at her own expense. She can leave for court, attorney appointments, medical appointments, and work. She can go to church, and one day a week she can go shopping for groceries. She can have no contact with anyone from the insurance agency, which is the victim in this case. And anything else, Dave? No weapons, no firearms, no ammunition.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay. Is that it? Anything else? All right. Thank you, sir.
Take care.
Yeah, someone said she has 4 kids. Yeah, she does have 4 kids. And I feel like I should look up more about this, because let me make sure I didn't do any more screenshots. Maybe it says it in here. Because again, this is I was trying to do this thing where I was showing a MAGA point of view. The woman who this is how this kind of famous MAGA influencer is covering this story. The woman who became the first Luigi Mangione copycat. Okay. Again, that's a rich kid who went and unalived a rich guy in New York, right? With a pew-pew. This is a woman who was on the phone being denied health care and was frustrated and said something rude. But this is how MAGA is positioning this. That she's a copycat for saying words. I find it really interesting. Do you remember the Twitter hearings and our First Amendment rights? We have a First Amendment right to spread health misinformation and disinformation, and maybe it will lead to people unaliving, maybe not, but it's our First Amendment right to spread a bunch of misinformation and disinformation. I guess but First Amendment rights only apply to conservatives, is what we're learning here. There's no First Amendment rights anywhere else. If they don't agree with what you're saying, First Amendment's out the window. It says has raised over $25K in less than 24 hours for a legal defense fund, which, by the way, that's nothing. You heard them say she has $100,000 bond, and you have to put up, I don't remember what percentage. I haven't bailed someone out before, but you know what I'm saying. And then she has 4 kids. She's facing 15 years in jail. $25K that's not a retainer fee for a lawyer. That's not going to get her anywhere, just to be clear. Breonna Boston was arrested after she allegedly, threatened a Blue Cross Blue Shield employee, according to LinkedIn. Oh, yeah. See, I knew she was in medicine. She's a nuclear medicine technologist. This is someone working in healthcare who's frustrated by the insurance systems. The mother of 3 allegedly told investigators that healthcare companies played games and deserved karma. Yeah, you heard her say that from the world because they are evil, adding that she was inspired by the news cycle. She wasn't inspired by the news cycle. That's not what she said. She said that's what's going on in the news. She said that's why she said it. I want to look. I feel like there's more. I read some more about this, but yeah, you can read more. She does. She has children. She immediately was just like, oh, I'm so sorry. I think in the outline, let me look it up really quick because I think it's worth it. There's a good opinion article that I do think I put in the outline about this that's worth seeing. Guys, keep tapping the screen. I really appreciate you guys tapping the screen, sharing the live, gifting. It means more than you know. Let me just see if I can find this because I think. Oh yeah. Yep. Yep. It's important to kind of report on the other side of this because I feel like this woman is being scarily railroaded. So this is a great article I suggest people read. I put it in today's outline. If you would like a link to join the Discord, this is just a TikTok profile, Feliz Navidad Live, my nickname from childhood. So just send a message and say, hey, I want to join the Discord. We'll get you a link. Everything I go through, all the clips, all the articles is in the live sources section every day in the Discord. So this article is called "A Woman Made a Vague THREAT to a Healthcare Company. Does she really deserve up to 15 years in prison?" And this it gives you more information that you're not getting elsewhere, I feel like. Breonna Boston, a mother of 3, it says, with threats to conduct a mass unaliving or act of teaism. Can you imagine? What did Boston do exactly? She was rude to a customer service representative. She had reportedly just had a medical claim denied by her health insurance company, Blue Cross Blue Shield, and allegedly said to the person on the phone, "Delayed, denied, depose, you people are next." This appears to have been reference to the words written on the ammunition discovered at the scene of the unaliving of Brian Thompson. Actually, it's a book. Just to be clear, Delay, Deny, Defend is a book written by a professor emeritus at Rutgers, and it's just saying, here is the insurance company's playbook to deny you care and to increase their profit margins. It's their strategy. She's just talking about their strategy. It says, listen, she apologized for what she said and reportedly told police she didn't mean anything by it, and there's no reason with the information we have now to think otherwise. Yeah, I mean, she was upset. I can't tell you, I've cried on the phone with insurance people. However, to any reasonable person, this whole thing sounds like a woman lashing out at a corporation rather than a credible unaliving threat against an individual. Boston has never had any criminal charges or convictions, according to her attorney. She also told police she doesn't even own a pew-pew. And if the police found any in her house, they haven't shared this information yet. If Boston's home is later to have found to have a bunch of disguises, a 3D printed pew pew, and a manifesto, I will of course eat my words and any hats that are available. As it stands, I agree with her. Like, this is crazy. Unless there was corroborating evidence, like they go to her house and there's stuff going on, they find other evidence that says, hey, this is a dangerous person. We've all been frustrated on the phone with a customer service representative. Now I guess it's possible you could go to jail for 15 years. Yeah, I think this is a really good article. It talks about, think about how women are threatened every day, right? How many times do women report stalking? Do women report DV? Do women report, and what do the police say? Sorry, we can't do anything until something happens to you. Until you're the victim of an actual crime, sorry, we cannot do anything for you. Go home and wait to be victimized. That is, all women know this. Maybe men aren't aware that this is how it happens. But this is, yeah. Oh, exactly. What were you wearing? There's a good one. Yeah, exactly. Oh, were you walking alone? Were you, maybe you should stay, maybe you should be in large groups and stop asking for it. Like, that's literally what police tell you. If you are the victim of escalating, stalking, they just say, hey, until he does something to you, until they do something to you, nothing we can do. Go home and wait to be the victim of a crime. But she just said something in frustration on a phone call with a corporation and is facing 15 years in jail. This really scares me personally, just because if you had all my customer service, you know how it is when you're like trying to get through those automated voices and you finally get to a person after like 2 hours. And man, I always, if I'm rude, I feel bad, but we've all said rude things. None of us are meaning. It just scares me. I'm not talking to any more customer service reps. That's what I'm saying. I can't guarantee what I'll say, so I just can't be talking to any customer service people ever again. But I am glad that she's getting some support. But again, $25K is nothing. Her name's Brianna Boston. If you do want to support or follow the case, and again, the links to these stories are in the Discord. Now we have to get into, this is going to be difficult to talk about because this is hard. I suggest everyone read this article, right? So Trump and his picks threaten more lawsuits over critical coverage. I've been touching on this over the last couple weeks. Kash Patel, Vivek Ramaswamy, Pete Hegseth, they've been sending out cease and desist letters and threatening defamation lawsuits preemptively and basically saying, like, for instance, and I've played the video so many times at this point, but Pete Hegseth's lawyer was talking to Jake Tapper and basically said, "Oh, don't worry. I'm talking about the woman who credibly accused Pete Hegseth, Trump's choice for SecDef, Secretary of Defense, of rape. There's a 25-page police report. I've read it. I've taken us through it on this show, right?" This is a Republican woman who was with her husband at a Republican conference, was working for a Republican women's group, was trying to stop other women who referred to her as a crotch blocker because Pete Hegseth was allegedly intoxicated and was bothering them. And she was trying to help those women because he was trying to get those women to come back to the room. Pete Hegseth says because there were no charges, it means he was exonerated and he's innocent. As women know, as 1 in 3 women who have been SA'd, including myself, who didn't report it, because what happens is this type of stuff. This is what we see. Oh, she's unstable. Oh, she wanted it. She just wanted attention. She was wearing a short skirt. She was drinking, so she must have wanted it. She can't remember what happened. It's my word against hers. We were alone in the room. Just because charges aren't brought it does not mean that there's no case. I read this report. Every witness corroborates this woman's story until they're alone in a room. And then it's he said, she said, and prosecutions happen with taxpayer dollars, right? If it's your word against theirs and there's a jury and there's one person who's like, has internalized misogyny and doesn't believe a woman and there's no other evidence and it's he said, she said, what do? Do you bring the case or not? It's that simple. But Pete Hegseth told a bunch of lies. He said, oh, the reason there was no case is because they investigated her and she has a history of doing this. Well, Vanity Fair investigated that claim and that's not true. I read the report. That's definitely not true, but they actually talked to the Monterey police who were like, no, that claim's spurious, meaning a lie, and there's no validity to it. So, and he's had many different versions, but what his lawyer said to Jake, oh, one second, puzzle piece. Got it. The live will not shut down. Yay. Thank you, John. This says, thanks for all your research and helping me stay sane. Couldn't do it without you. Keep up the good fight. Lastly, where will you be if the TikTok ban does take place? John, we're keeping each other sane. Truly. Thank you so much for the tip. And I'll be primarily on YouTube. Like right now, I'm live on Twitch, YouTube, and X. Sometimes I go live on Instagram, but I'll probably just be going live from YouTube and like pushing it out from there. So yeah, and my YouTube is the same as my TikTok name. A Girl Has No Name, spelled the same way. All of these replays are just post to YouTube after. If you ever want to say like, oh, I want to see that clip again, or you want to clip it and post it, whatever you want to do, these replays are on YouTube. And I'm glad you're going to come along in case TikTok goes away. We'll all hang out on YouTube together. Wait, I lost my train of thought. Oh, yeah. Okay, so he told Jake Tapper, or his lawyer, who's Trump's old lawyer from the Mar-a-Lago docs case, Timothy Parlatore, went and told Jake Tapper, if that woman, and we're talking about a woman who was a victim of rape, who credibly, who was raped, and as someone who was raped, I don't know about you guys. I told you his first story. His second story was, she raped me. I was intoxicated and she raped me. Now, I don't know what it is normal with men, but when I was raped, did I go to my accuser and say, here's some cash, take this cash since you raped me, and sign this paper that says neither of us will ever admit to the horrible thing you did to me? I mean, yeah, I've never paid off my rapist personally, but that was his second story. So what this article is about this strategy that seems to be proliferating across the internet of just preemptively threatening, sending cease and desist letters, threatening lawsuits, or just filing defamation lawsuits against people for saying the truth. Like, Timothy Parlatore, Pete Hegseth's lawyer, is saying and said publicly to Jake Tapper, if that woman tells her story, lies, tells her pack of lies, basically, right? We're talking about someone who has credibly accused this man of rape. He paid her money and had her sign an NDA. That NDA is broken. And he's like, she can testify. But if she goes out and defames him and tells the lie, imagine being raped and being gaslit and being told, if you have the nerve to go and tell your story, tell your truth about what this man did to you, we're going to sue you for defamation. That is the Republican strategy. And it's not just around... Yeah, no, she can show up. A subpoena trumps an NDA, but the NDA is already broken. It's not about that. She can show up on a TV show if she wants. The NDA was broken. According to Timothy Parlatore, she did not send this police report to the media, but someone that they say is her friend sent the police report to the media, right? And they are saying, when you had your friend send the police report to the media, you broke the NDA. Pete couldn't speak about it and you couldn't speak about it, but you broke it. So you can go speak to the media. Definitely she can show up and talk to the Senate, but they're saying if he doesn't get the job he wants, which is Secretary of Defense, we're going to sue you for defamation. I mean, does anyone understand what I'm saying? We're talking about gaslighting, never ending. Yeah, the police reports are public records and they came out in a FOIA request act. But according to I'm just telling you what Timothy Parlatore said on Jake Tapper's show, that, hey, the NDA is broken now. And you could tell your pack of lies. I believe her. I'm not saying she's lying. I definitely believe her. I've read the police report. But I'm saying they're gaslighting her and saying, if you do speak and he doesn't get this job, then we're going to sue you for defamation. Imagine being the victim of rape and being gaslit in that way, and how horrible it would be. This is their strategy. And it's not just around SAA lawsuits. This has to do, if the media says something negative, whether true or not, preemptively fire off a cease and desist, fire off a lawsuit, and consider it just the cost of doing business. Maybe it works, maybe it doesn't, but people who don't have the financial means to be tied up in court, right? You can bankrupt them. Trump, there was a whole part of the Stormy Daniels trial. Trump's a 34 count felon. Part of the prosecution's points was pointing out the chapters in Trump's book that instructed, hey, it doesn't matter if you have a case or not. You just be overly litigious. You just file those lawsuits and you bury people in litigation and you make them regret coming after you. That's the thing. I mean, these people don't, who has the money to even retain a lawyer? Not me. So again, that's why I want to talk about this. I'm sure everyone heard on Saturday this crazy, you know who has the money to retain a lawyer and could have won their case? ABC. Right? Trump filed a lawsuit that was about George Stephanopoulos. Right? And I'll take you guys through most of this. But I wouldn't necessarily blame ABC News. I would blame the parent company, which is Disney. And they have $200 billion in holdings and subsidiaries. And this is obviously just a boardroom decision of, hey, if we donate $15 million to Trump's future presidential library, that's a charitable donation. It's a literal write-off. If you guys don't know, charitable donations are write-offs. So it's actually costing Disney nothing, except for this sets a horrible precedent because 99% of media outlets, they don't have the money to fight these types of lawsuits, even though Disney probably could have won. Trump was going to have to be deposed. He was going to have to sit for a deposition. Remember when Trump did this to Michael Cohen and sued Michael Cohen for defamation? At what point did Trump bail on the lawsuit? He was going to be deposed and Trump bailed out because Trump never wants to be under oath. They were going to have to be under oath, George Stephanopoulos and Donald Trump. But my guess is because of the leverage that, of he's about to be president, their fears of, hey, we have $200 billion in holdings. We're an American business. How can he make our lives miserable? We could make a $15 million charitable donation. That's a write-off. And this could go away, or we could have a lifelong grudge. But what they've done is set a precedent, right, with people in the media. There's media outlets that don't have money to fight lawsuits, that can't retain lawyers, that, hey, this has empowered Trump to do this. And I thought this was written by Ben Meiselas immediately after this came. And you have to understand, Midas Touch is pretty much formed by mostly all lawyers. Most everyone at the top of Midas Touch is a lawyer. And so that's why I think this is interesting. And I want to give you their perspective. And then he not only put this out immediately because he was furious. Ben Meiselas is furious about this. I was telling you guys, if you were here last week, I was randomly telling a story of the time when I first knew who Midas Touch was because they sued Trump. Or no, they sued Marjorie Taylor Greene and won. They made her donate to charities. So they've already been involved. Trump recently called Midas Touch out in a court filing and blamed them for coverage and all this stuff. So this is what he said. This is what Ben said immediately when this ruling came out on Saturday. ABC is trash. I love him for this too. I'm not going to say I'm a Ben Marcellus fan or not, but I do appreciate like the swift reaction. ABC is trash. Shame on them. Let's not mince words after what they did just moments ago in settling a civil lawsuit with Donald Trump for $15 million and issuing a written apology to Donald Trump. In announcing this settlement to Trump, ABC has declared to us all that it is compromised. It is no longer legitimate. And we were talking all last week. I was taking you through examples of the LA Times and how that is owned by a billionaire who's in like medical sales. And he started to tell people that write opinion pieces what they can and can't write about. So Harry Litman quit, with Jeff Bezos refusing to let them endorse Kamala Harris as the presidential candidate at the Washington Post, and people resigning over that, right? There's all sorts of instances with Joe and Mika crawling on their hands and knees to Mar-a-Lago because they're scared of Donald Trump. There's all of these instances of legacy media that actually have the money and the backing of huge corporations to fight, crawling on their hands and knees to Donald Trump. Don't obey in advance, number one rule of fascism. So they're settling a civil lawsuit with Donald Trump for $15 million and issuing a written apology to Donald Trump. The apology doesn't say much. I will say that. You could tell that they're like, we're not saying anything. It's like, oh, we said some words that we don't like. In announcing this settlement to Trump, ABC has declared to us all that it is compromised. It is no longer legitimate. It works only for Donald Trump now and billionaires. It takes orders from Donald Trump now. It obeys its master, Donald Trump. I'm sure it did before. They are putting an exclamation point on that now. Guys, tap the screen. Let's get to 200K. We're almost there. We can get to 300K before the live is over. I would highly, highly appreciate it. Tapping is clapping. Tap, tap, tap. So again, to give you more context, and I just want to make sure, I'm going to say this in words and then I'm going to show you some clips. ABC and George Stephanopoulos announced they have settled a defamation lawsuit filed against them by Trump. They issued a written apology and are donating $15 million to a future Trump presidential library. I put the word donate in quotes because it's probably a way for ABC Disney to take a tax deduction or write-off by structuring the settlement this way. Trump previously sued ABC and Stephanopoulos for defamation because on his weekend show, Stephanopoulos described what Trump did to E. Jean Carroll as grape and not SA. E. Jean Carroll prevailed, and I've explained this to you guys why. George Stephanopoulos was not wrong in what he was saying. I mean, he showed in the judge's verdict, right? This all comes, you have to read court filings to know, and I read court filings. It's Judge Kaplan that said, by the common definition of the word grape, yes, Trump was found to have graped E. Jean Carroll. That's the judge's words. And George Stephanopoulos put that up on the screen. It's Aaron Blake from the Washington Post wrote a story about it, and he put the actual story up that links back to the court documents and the judge's decision, because you just have to understand, New York penal law, there's a very narrow definition of grape, but in the common definition of the words, right? Like what if I don't want to get technical, but yeah, like if someone grapes you, not with, their genitals, but with something else, in most places, it doesn't matter what penetration happens with, it's grape, right? And that's what the judge was saying. By the common definition, it's just in New York Penal Code, there's a narrow definition, like it has to be genitals, right? And if not, right, then it is SA. But all fall under the same umbrella of battery, of S battery. So it's technical, but that's the distinction that Judge Kaplan was making. He's just saying, hey, this just has to do with a very narrow definition and how New York law is written. But by the common definition of the word, like we're talking, yeah. And I'll show you that in a second, but I just want to make sure we're clear. Trump had to post bond close to $100 million after losing and is appealing those unanimous jury verdicts. Actually, let me just show you some of these clips because I don't really feel like reading all this. It gets me upset. And I found clips later, so I'm gonna, yeah, here's the clips.
And complete. Have some breaking news to report. The utter and complete capitulation and humiliation of ABC News. We'll break it down right now. Michael Popak is in transit. As you can see, I'm in a hotel.
And by the way, trigger warning, first of all, before I play this, trigger warning, there's going to be some explanations in here that are quite graphic. And that's why I was going to read it, because then I can try to say it in a way that's less hurtful or triggering to anyone. So just trigger warning. And also just make sure you type over and over in the comments how much we love TikTok Shop. Tap the screen, share the live, because like I said, this is
right now recording this. We've both been traveling. I'm going to take this first segment, then we'll bring Michael Popak in. This is utterly outrageous what ABC just did. One by one, we've seen corporate media fold, kiss the ring, and not just obey in advance, but go through humiliation ritual after humiliation ritual. Here is what happened. ABC has announced that it will be paying $15 million to a charitable foundation controlled and or run by Donald Trump for Trump's future presidential library as part of a settlement when Donald Trump, in my opinion, filed what might have been the single most frivolous lawsuit against ABC and George Stephanopoulos. I am waiting to hear what George Stephanopoulos has to say, but shame on you, Stephanopoulos. Shame on you, ABC, and anybody who works at ABC. Utterly atrocious and despicable. Let me remind you all what this lawsuit was and how despicable it is and was that ABC is doing, and how it is more important than ever that we stand up and we just shut down corporate media.
Yeah, this is for educational purposes only. I'm just a teacher teaching people information and just showing receipts about what people are saying on the internet today.
At this point, because they are nothing more than a Donald Trump fascist mouthpiece. It is utterly disgusting. It is utterly despicable. And what I promise you here is that we here at Legal AF, we here at the Midas Touch Network will never obey in advance. We will never kiss the ring. You will literally have to take Michael Popak, myself, and our contributors to the gulag. We're not running away. We're not freaking scared of this crap. How dare ABC? For real, I am pissed at the start of this episode. Again, let me have some break. And again, let me remind you what this lawsuit was about. As you all remember, Donald Trump was found liable for sexual assault in the E. Jean Carroll civil case, not a criminal case, a civil case in New York federal court. A federal jury, found unanimously that Donald Trump sexually assaulted E. Jean Carroll in that federal case. Subsequently, there was another federal case where Donald Trump was found liable for defamation. When you add up Donald Trump's defamation verdicts against him, as well as the sexual assault verdict, Donald Trump had to post a bond nearing $100 million for his despicable actions. Now, in New York, there are technical distinctions between, I'll give a trigger warning here again, because I'm going to be describing some aspects of sexual assault. There's a distinction in New York law, a technical one, in how the law is just written between sexual assault and a rape. And that's the difference between a finger and the genitals. So what the jury...
Again, so that's just unique to New York Penal Code, right? Like that's the only distinction. And that's what Judge Kaplan says in his second verdict. He explains, like, hey, by the common definition, yes, E. Jean Carroll was found to have been raped. That's what George Stephanopoulos was explaining and putting up on the screen. He was just saying the judge in the case said this, which he did. You have to read the court filing to know that, but that is what the dispute is over.
found in New York is that Donald Trump sexually assaulted E. Jean Carroll essentially with a finger. And did not say that he did it with genitals. So that's the way the verdict went down, sexually assaulting with the finger. Now, we've all heard Donald Trump on audio saying that he grabs women by their genitals, and he says they let you do it when you're famous and rich like him. We've heard other statements of Donald Trump talking about inspecting women at beauty pageants, right? We've heard all of that. So subsequent to that civil verdict, George Stephanopoulos on his weekend show on ABC described Donald Trump's conduct as rape. Now, the federal judge in New York, in the underlying order, one of the orders, what the federal judge had said was that Donald Trump's conduct, based on, even though there's a distinction in the technical language, the federal judge said that the technicalities aside, one could basically describe the conduct.
And I actually screenshot it because I want to just show you guys. I just want to try to be as technical as possible about this so I can just show you guys. Hold on one second, because I don't know how much more of this I'm going to play, because he was obviously very upset and yelling a lot of things. And it does get, it's pretty graphic, but he is a lawyer. I mean, who better to explain this than a lawyer? All I'm trying to do is educate people, just to be clear here. But I just want to show you I'm going to show you the language from the filing so that we can all be on the same page and getting the same education about what we're talking about here. Hold on. Let me make sure. Okay. Me. Yeah, here we go. He added that the jury clearly found that Trump had raped her in the sense of the term broader than the New York penal law definition. The motion was a part of Trump's efforts to appeal the verdict against him. That's an effort that will apparently continue. But for now, I'm just reading from the bottom, Trump's effort led to a rather remarkable clarification that severely undercuts his main talking point. This is the quote this is the judge. The jury's finding of sexual abuse therefore necessarily implies that it found that Mr. Trump forcibly penetrated her, Kaplan wrote, calling it, quote, the only remaining conclusion. Kaplan also noted that the verdict form did not ask the jury to decide what conduct Trump had committed, and that neither prosecutors nor Trump's lawyers had requested it to do so. Kaplan also flatly rejected the Trump team's suggestion that the conduct he was found liable for might have been as limited as groping of her chest, because that's what Trump tried to say in his appeal. Like, oh, well, maybe the SA is just, fondling. And Kaplan's like, no, that's not what's going on here. The reason Trump was not accused of that, so the only alleged offense that would have qualified as sexual abuse, was forced digital penetration. Beyond that, Trump, gross stuff. He was accused of more gross stuff. Now, this is the judge again. Indeed, as the evidence at trial recounted below makes clear, the jury found that Mr. Trump, in fact, did exactly that. Kaplan said New York's legal definition of grape is far narrower than the word is understood in common modern parlance. If you don't understand what common modern parlance is, he's saying, hey, we have this narrow definition that we use for just New York law, but in the way people use the word grape, it falls under that. The former requires forcible, unconsented to penetration with one's genitals. That's what the New York Penal Code requires. But he said that the conduct the jury effectively found Trump liable for, forced digital penetration, meets a more common definition of grape. He cited definitions, and in this order, because I've read it many times, he cites definitions offered by the American Psychological Association and the Justice Department, which in 2012 expanded the definition of grape to include penetration with any body part or object. right? Because I just want to be clear. Like George Stephanopoulos, this is what he was talking about. He's saying, well, the judge said in court filings that under the common definition, and used two separate definitions to define it, right? The finding that Miss Carroll, and this is from the judge. This is the judge speaking, and this is kind of the point. The finding that Miss Carroll failed to prove that she was raped within the meaning of the New York penal law does not mean that she failed to prove that Mr. Trump raped her, as many people commonly understand the word rape. So that's sort of the point of this. And I know it's hard to get through these things and without violating a bunch of rules. And also, I'm so sorry if I triggered anyone. I also am an SA survivor, so I understand that's hard. But I will defend E.G. Carroll with my last dying breath. Because I can't, that's why I wanted to talk about what Pete Hegseth is threatening to do to his accuser, because I cannot imagine, I can't imagine the courage it takes to be one of these women, to come forward and then to be gaslit and on these technicalities. Like, we all know what we're talking about, please. And then for ABC to say, oh, sorry, I don't think that counts. I'm just going to skip over that part and go to another part of Ben Meiselas when he's, I think, if I remember correctly, a little less, yelling horrible things.
Right. So then there was a development this past week on that front as well. The big development was that the magistrate judge ordered Donald Trump to sit for a deposition.
What he's saying is, ABC had Trump cornered. Like, we've seen Trump do this a million times. He files frivolous lawsuits. When it gets to the point where he's going to have to show up for a deposition under oath, right before his inauguration, he backs out. He did that with Michael Cohen. He did not want to sit under oath. One of the only people to ever get him to sit for a deposition was Letitia James, right? She got him to sit, and that's when who else? I think a couple other people, but it happens very, very rarely.
Donald Trump was therefore kind of cornered. The magistrate judge also ordered George Stephanopoulos to sit for a deposition. That deposition of Trump and Stephanopoulos under oath before a video camera. That would eventually become public, because court records are public records, right? That was going to be scheduled for this week based on the magistrate's order. Donald Trump was the plaintiff in this action. Trump was the person who filed the lawsuit. So we've been giving analysis here on the Midas Touch Network and Legal AF that there was basically no way for Donald Trump to wiggle out of this deposition or to squirm out of it, unlike his other cases, because he's the plaintiff. So one of the things we were saying is, well, wow, now George Stephanopoulos' lawyers get to ask Donald Trump about sexual assault, about Donald Trump's distinction in his mind between sexual assault.
Not just that, but they can ask him anything. Do you know what I'm saying? I mean, that's why Donald Trump never wants to be under oath. Like, we've seen the things he gets caught, the lies he gets caught in. It's when you are telling a ton of things that are not necessarily true and you don't want to be asked under oath, it's not a good place for you to be.
Assault and rape. You could ask Donald Trump about all of the other statements that Donald Trump made about sexually assaulting women in the past, or Donald Trump saying in the past that he grabs women by their you-know-what. What did you mean when you made those types of comments, right? What were you referring to when you talked about inspecting people in your beauty pageants? What did you mean by that? Going on and on and on about that. And Trump was never going to sit for that deposition. Let me give you another corollary example here of somebody who's, I think, paid a steep price for being courageous in the face of kind of Trumpism. But think about the Michael Cohen case for a second. Remember, Donald Trump sued Michael Cohen for $500 million. Remember, then Cohen demanded Donald Trump's deposition. And then what happened? Donald Trump dismissed the case right before the deposition. So that's clearly Donald Trump was not going to sit for a deposition with ABC where he was going to be asked questions about sexual assault and about what damages are you claiming, and you're saying you were humiliated.
You have to understand what to prove defamation. Like, you have to prove that you had this stellar reputation that no one previously has already thought this about you. Like, it's very hard to prove a defamation case. And the chances that Trump was going to be able to do that were not good. Hey, Fee.
How are you today?
Good.
Hi, guys. Love the tapping. I see the hearts coming. I think we just hit 200,000. Let's keep tapping. There are 529 of you. So let's get maybe to 300K. Don't make Chrissy turn off comments or go to sub comments only. If Joanna doesn't beat her first. And I'm here again to welcome you to the Dream Team and ask you to join our Discord. We have a desire to change what we're hearing into action, and we're looking for volunteering opportunities in your local regions that we can help support. If you're a candidate, lots of fun things too. We're going to be having bingo cards for certain events, and we're also going to be doing a movie night, a book club. So we would love to have you there. And then we'll start going live in the evenings. We'll announce that in the Discord on specific subjects, hopefully that are near and dear to your heart. So the more that we learn about you, the more we can turn those dreams into being a team and turning our passion into action. So let's join the Discord. Go up to A Girl Has No Name, and we will get you a link to the Discord. And I thank you, Felice. What you do every day is deeply appreciated. And let's get started as we bring the best of us to 2025. Okay? Thanks for letting me come on.
Inspiring. Thank you.
You're inspiring. This whole team of people put together. Yeah, let's bring our best in 2025. Okay, guys, I'll see you. I will see you again tomorrow. Cheers.
To make up for other people bringing their worst, we all must bring our best. But seriously, thank you so much, Fee, guys. Oh, and I had an announcement. Dana, thank you so much, who I think is... Yes, Cookie. Thank you. Thank you so much for the gift. That is so generous. Thank you so much. Happy holidays to you as well. I love doing this every day. I love bringing the truth and the receipts to the internet so we can all have them here forever for everyone to see. I feel like I needed to say one more thing, but I forgot what it was. So let's continue.
Play this tape. Play this tape. Here's what you said here, Donald. Here's what you said here, Donald. Remember when you said this? So your whole point of your case here is that you think that the distinction between a rape and a sexual assault, a finger versus genitals, that's what you're suing over. You would have had Trump looking right into the camera based on the magistrate judge's order. So the magistrate judge says you got to sit in 5 days. So, any traditional legal analysis with our justice system, with our civil system, any analysis goes, well, look, this for all intents and purposes, this case is over. If you're the lawyers representing ABC right now, you go, Trump ain't sitting for this deposition right now before the inauguration. That ain't happening. Trump's not going to answer these questions. And, if you're the lawyers, you're like, we're going to, one of the things they were teeing up is a motion called summary judgment, which is like a motion to dismiss the case before it even goes to trial, before the trial actually takes place.
How Ben gets so excited. It's like he's talking faster than his brain is working, but at least he's passionate about this, which I agree with. Like I've thought about this, and I'll show you guys an article where you can get more if you want a high level analysis of this. Harry Litman, if you don't follow, it's called The Talking Feds. Harry Litman is like a former high ranking official at the DOJ, amazing prosecutor, one of the most brilliant minds. He has a Substack called The Talking Feds, and he wrote an analysis of this. I mean, and this decision was made like in the Disney shareholders boardroom type situation. And like it's between, hey, $15 million charitable donation where it's tax write off, or we have $2 billion in holdings. This guy's going to be president. And like, can he make our lives more difficult? Right? We're protecting our assets. I mean, at least that's the way that I see it and the way it makes sense. Or the other piece is like, I mean, George Stephanopoulos seems like a pretty upstanding guy until this. He signed this. Like, don't ever think George Stephanopoulos. He has his own lawyers and every right to defend himself if he didn't want to agree to this and sit for the only other thing I could think is like maybe they don't want him under oath for some reason. I don't know what it is, but I don't know, because this seems pretty open and shut to me. And again, this is the article I'm talking about. If you ever want the link, and this is what George Stephanopoulos put on the screen. This is what he was talking about. This is the article I was reading for you from. Or you can, I can't remember if this one has the link back to the court documents. It probably does, and then there's other articles as well that do. And this is what he was putting up when he was interviewing Nancy Mace, when this lawsuit got started. Like, because, I mean, think about that defense. Like, that's the thing. In order to be liable for defamation, you have to be able to say, like, I knew it wasn't true. I've watched that George Stephanopoulos interview. I think he 100% believes this. He was saying, hey, I read this court filing. This is what the judge is saying. The judge in this case is saying that this is the case. He put this up on the screen. Like, so that's where it all comes from, right? He had every chance. It's not like George Stephanopoulos pulled it out of thin air and is like, hey, I'm just making this up to defame someone. He's citing court documents and a judge's ruling. Like, that's why it's so, I mean, they could have pressed the issue and they most likely could have won. But here's some other, I was searching around for just other journalists who were saying things, right? Like, and talking about this case. Decision comes as the Anchor and ABC News are said to be in contract negotiations, and there is palpable evidence that Good Morning America, which Stephanopoulos co-anchors, is slipping versus NBC's Today. And this is just someone speculating. And then I also thought this was a good piece of information he brought out, because I hadn't heard this part either. Worth noting, Disney settled a defamation suit on behalf of ABC News for an estimated $177 million in 2017 after it used the phrase pink slime to refer to goods made by meat processor Beef Products Inc., which sounds like they probably could award that what that would too, and settled anyway. So I think this guy did a good job just bringing up, hey, Disney has some precedent of not wanting the smoke, right? But I mean, it's very different in from journalistic standards. Like, oh my gosh, what is his name? What's the famous judge? Is it Brennan, the Supreme Court judge, the Sullivan decision? There's a famous defamation case that decides all like journalistic law on defamation cases. I think his name's Brennan. I can't remember, but it's not coming to me. I think I might have taken a screenshot later, but I just want to say this. Like, if you're feeling sorry for George Stephanopoulos, he had Chris Christie on. Chris Christie did not mention Trump calling him FAT and bring, the stuff Trump was posting about the drones bringing Chris Christie McDonald's. Chris Christie doesn't even mention that. And George Stephanopoulos acted like he had amnesia the entire day. And then he is getting lambasted on X, George Stephanopoulos, yesterday, and deletes his account. His account is gone. I mean, and I'm saying he was getting it from both sides. But his answer to that, it's not, these two, talk about the interview of delusion yesterday. Oh, and here's what Aaron Rupar, who's one of my favorite independent journalists, said. Chris Christie was on ABC today, but George Stephanopoulos did not ask him about Trump's tweet yesterday, crudely insulting him. These two are just he called up Chris Christie and he's like, hey, can you just do an interview and be delusional? You don't ask me about my and I would ask you about your and then they just had a delusional conversation pretending reality was not in fact reality. It was very weird. And Aaron didn't watch the whole interview. He just started doing transcript searches, which is something journalists do. Also indicates Stephanopoulos did not mention the settlement ABC reached yesterday over comments he made about Trump. So that's what I'm trying to say. Everybody was like waiting to see his show to see like, is he going to say something? Does he have thoughts or feelings? Like, you're a journalist, address it. No, he just had Chris Christie audited. They pretended Trump wasn't bullying them. Tool. And then this is, Ben wrote this morning, which I do agree with. I give Ben, this is the most I've ever respected Ben Meiselas for his writing. But listen to this. He said, I once admired ABC host George Stephanopoulos. I thought he was smart and fearless, as did I. I want to say this, and I also I thought ABC News was fearless. Like, if you remember Rachel Scott, she works for ABC News. Rachel Scott is the black journalist who at the National Black Journalists Convention, I think it was in Chicago, Trump was like saying, you can't fact check me on stage. And she basically was like, oh, I'm fact checking you. And she did. She dragged him up and down the stage. That's another reason Trump has had a problem with ABC News. So I was like, oh, where did ABC News comes from? I guess they're going to do some real journalism. And they have folded like a lawn chair. So just to be clear, yeah, they are failing us, but we have independent journalism, smaller shows. I mean, this is what I'm saying. Like, I just want to, that's why I now have a lot more respect for Ben Meiselas. Like 2 seconds after that verdict came out, he was like, had veins popping out, like screaming. So it's like, at least, well, if you read what New York Times is reporting, or the way it's being reported, that title I showed you that George Stephanopoulos posted, the judge clarifies that yes, E. Jean Carroll was found to have been raped or whatever. That is a Washington Post article. That was their headline. And the Washington Post, and I checked today, it is still on their site because I was like, I wonder if they like disappeared it or something. It's still there, but they're reporting on this like, oh, George did something wrong. You know, like, it's just amazing to me how journalists are, like, mainstream media is reporting this. I love Rachel Scott. Whoever said that, I agree. I love me some Rachel Scott. He said, I thought he was smart and fearless. Silly me. So many people I admired are revealing themselves as cowards now. It's pathetic. One day after ABC and Stephanopoulos settled with Trump for $15 million, Stephanopoulos deleted his Twitter account. I like to dead name Twitter, X. He was getting mocked on X by MAGA accounts for kissing the ring. Stephanopoulos doesn't have a Threads or Blue Sky account. He is getting roasted by MAGA accounts on his Instagram. He is swarmed with comments on his Instagram like this. Here, and I'll see if I can kind of focus in on some of these. 15 million. Oh, and by the way, I did some research. Do you want to know, like, 15 million is his salary. That's what George Stephanopoulos makes in a year. And I don't remember if it's Ben Meiselas that I read this from or if it's another, because I've read so many articles this morning about this. I think George Stephanopoulos is worth like millions upon millions upon millions upon millions of dollars. So we're not talking about someone who, like, if ABC's not going to fight, I can't afford to fight. Like, if he wanted to fight this, if he had journalistic integrity and is like, hey, I don't think I did something wrong, I want to fight this, he could have fought it. Should have been 150 million. Where's the apology? Got 15 million I could borrow? Run that mouth of yours more now. You blew it, George. Where's the apology? I want to see it. Yikes, 15 million. It's like, yeah, so this is why you never obey in advance. As I say, I prefer to die once than to have my soul ripped apart and die 1,000 deaths in a lifetime for being a coward, like so many journalists now. Truer words were never spoken, Ben. Stephanopoulos looks like a total coward to those who oppose the settlement, and he has been beclowned. I love the word beclowned, by the way. Here, let's hear it for vocab by MAGA, who treat him as a pathetic loser. I wonder if he will delete his Instagram soon as well. W. Ben, for real. I think he might have a fan in me. Here, I heard some try to say it's not Stephanopoulos' fault that ABC settled since he works for them. This is wrong. Stephanopoulos makes $15 million a year from ABC. By the way, if you wanted to know how Trump arrived at the $15 million settlement amount, that's a hint right there. Stephanopoulos was not forced into the settlement agreement. He has the right to his own lawyers, and ABC's insurance would be obligated to pay for his defense if he didn't want to settle, which then it comes into what that other journalist was reporting. What that other journalist, I think his name was Brian something, he was saying, hey, I have sources telling me George Stephanopoulos is in contract negotiations, right? So if the higher ups in the boardroom are like, hey, just settle, we'll get you on the back end with your contract negotiations, right? That's what, I mean, this is from all my research and lurking around the internet. This is what is making the most sense. Oh, yes. So it did come from here. Listen to this. Now prepare to be sick. Stephanopoulos' net worth is probably close to $100 million. He's one of them. That's why he's doing this. He's on their team. He has more money than anyone needs in multiple lifetimes. He could do what Harry Litman did at the LA Times. Remember, I was reporting this. I played for you the video of Harry Litman saying, I can't work here in good conscience because they're censoring the opinions of journalists. At the LA Times, and resigns. If he believed in his talents, I'm sure he could land another job somewhere, or he could start his own show, or just live off your $100 million forever. Forever. You have enough money. Like, some of us have no money. It's mind-boggling to me. Like, if I had $100 million, I would stand up to everyone. Like, the only option is to have a lot of money or have no money. I have no money, so also I have nothing to lose. There's that. That's also a good position to come from when negotiating against a narcissist. Always make sure they cannot leverage you with anything. Right, Mom? That's what I learned from growing up in my house. I'm sure he could land another job somewhere. He could start his own show. But yeah, he could literally produce his own. He could start his own network. But Stephanopoulos is a company guy who wanted to stay employed at ABC to keep those fat $15 million a year checks. So he settled as well when ABC and Disney cut Trump a $15 million check. Stephanopoulos literally, and I like how he said it because it is literally, he literally signed on the dotted line of the settlement agreement. He has free will. He exercised it the way he did, and now he is compromised. MAGA mocks him, while pro-democracy fans of his are fans no longer. It's so true. I will say this. This is personally crushing for me. George Stephanopoulos, I was a big fan of his. Like, as far as of his journalism and his career and what I believed was like if I didn't get a journalism degree, but I took, like the principles of journalism, the ethics of journalism, the building block classes you have to take. And I was like, oh, this is serious. Like, if you want to be a real journalist, I mean, there are ethical standards that you have to adhere to. And to me, this is him folding like a lawn chair. Like, this is him saying, I don't have the stomach for this. I have $100 million. I have too much to lose. And I just rather, fold like a lawn chair. It's not a good look for him. And I want to find this article too, because I can't remember, but Harry Litman said let me see if I have a screenshot of this. Oh, well, let me just get into my oligarch section of today's. This is Tim Cook with Trump at Mar-a-Lago. You see him? That's Elon Musk in the foreground. I told you there was this like who's who of like extremely wealthy people. That's Tim Cook and Trump. This is Tim Cook and Elon Musk with Taylor Buttigieg or whatever on the patio at Mar-a-Lago on Saturday. scary. It's like which extremely rich, extremely powerful person is now not required to fly into Palm Beach and lurk around Mar-a-Lago and pay their respects. This is what oligarchy looks like. Here's a gathering of oligarchy. And I like the way, if you guys don't follow Chris Webb, I think he's on Blue Sky too. I don't know. I spend all my time watching what's going on X. But he said, "Have you pieced together what's coming yet? 2025. Welcome to Trump's United Oligarchy of America. They profit, you lose. This was all part of the plan."
The wealthiest administration in history.
The Trump cabinet will have more billionaires and centimillionaires than any in history. From Linda McMahon and Howard Lutnick to Doug Burgum, Stephen Feinberg, Jared Isaacman, and Kelly Loeffler, the billionaires on the official cabinet will have a combined net worth of over $13 billion. Not including, of course, Elon Musk or Trump's new billionaire ambassadors with.
If you include them, Elon Musk and Vivek, right, they have the wealth of 169 countries. There's only about 190 something countries, just to be clear. If you include Vivek and Elon, they have the wealth of 169 countries.
Trump's current net worth about $6.4 billion. Of course, $4 billion of that coming from his stake in the publicly traded DJT. Howard Lutnick said he will step down from his three companies and divest shares in the publicly traded BCG Group and Newmark. He said he won't be selling those shares on the open market, so perhaps he could be transferring them to some kind of family trust or some kind of trust. Now, since Musk and
is not legal either, right? But that's just what we accepted the first time with Trump. Oh, I'm going to put it in a blind trust, yeah, which is questionable if that's even constitutional or ethical as well. And Trump's not even pretending. I guess Lutnick is pretending at this point.
Ramaswamy are not formal members of the cabinet. They're just advisors. They are not bound by the same conflict of interest laws. Trump and Vance, of course, and members of Congress also not subject to those laws.
On Capitol Hill, Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy were meeting yesterday with Republican lawmakers. The co-leaders of the new Department of Government Efficiency, DOGE. Musk had a private meeting yesterday morning with incoming Senate Majority Leader John Thune, while Ramaswamy met behind closed doors with a group of 15 Senate Republicans.
Elon and Vivek talked about having a naughty list and a nice list for members of Congress and senators and how we vote.
Trump and Republicans in Congress setting.
What that means is if you vote against us, if you vote against the wealth of 169 countries that is concentrated around Donald Trump, we will primary you. This will be the end of your congressional career. The naughty list and the nice list. That's the list of people that go vote their conscience and vote against anything that Donald Trump wants. Those are the underlying THREATSs. Guys, we're almost to 300K. Can we please keep tapping, finish strong, and get to 300K? I would really, really appreciate it. Thank you so much for the gifts.
An ambitious 100-day agenda at the top of the list, a plan to renew about $4 trillion in expiring GOP tax cuts.
We want to see the Trump tax cuts get extended. So that's obviously going to be a priority in the first year.
Nothing is sacrosanct. Nothing. They're going to put everything on the table.
Everything is on the table, and that includes Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid.
We've got to right the ship, and it's going to mean cuts. It's going to mean cuts to the 24% of the discretionary spending that we have. And it's also going to mean looking long term at the front end of some programs like Social Security and Medicare. And on the front end of Social Security, I think there's a way when people are living longer, they're retiring later, that on the front end, we can move that retirement age back a little.
We are not living longer. It's going down. It's at 76.1. Americans are not living longer. I love how Republicans, they will tell any lie. The retirement age is 67. Americans are living on an average that's to 76.1. Let's move it up to 72. Why not? You guys, we'll just unalive at work. How about that? So these people can continue amassing more wealth. They could just shove us into our coffins, like right from our desks. You know what I mean? Just right off the factory assembly line. They'll just dump us back in there, and then they could just bury us right on premise, like right at our job. And they're screaming this stuff out loud. This is an oligarchy. This is the literal forming of an oligarchy as we watch. And this is what I want to talk about. This is Trump's plan. And it's not just for people saying the truth about his personal life or, essay claims. It's about what he's planning on doing in the government, right? This is why attorney generals in blue states have lawsuits already drawn up to try to stop him. He's going to do things that are unconstitutional, and he's betting that the extremely conservative Supreme Court is going to back him, that people are going to have to file lawsuits in the time that they're winding their way through the court. He's going to do whatever he wants, and he's hoping in the end the Supreme Court will back him if and when they take a case and it finally gets there. They're going to have his back. Keep tapping the screen, guys. We're almost at 300K. We could do it. I agree, Darkners. Enough is a freaking enough. But that's why I do this. Just showing the receipts. This is just what was going on this weekend. Like, this is just what was happening this weekend. Like, this is real life. This is a truly disturbing article. Elon Musk can't leave Trump's side. This is an actual, roadmap of how many world leaders Elon Musk has been around, on the phone with. Some they won't even admit to, some they don't admit to. But I mean, literally, Elon Musk has been Donald Trump's shadow the entire transition. The richest man in the world. This man. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. It's the headline. Now, you think this article is disturbing. This one will make you lose your lunch. Don't read this one on a full stomach. I tell you what, this one will just make you lose your will to go on. I don't know if you guys know this. He's gained $200 in his value. Elon Musk's net worth is now at $400 billion. $400 billion. He invested $277 million in the election. Well, he's gained $200 billion in wealth. I mean, guess that. What a small investment to gain your portfolio gaining $200 billion in wealth. This is one of the most disturbing articles I've ever read in my life. And I thought this was such a cool way that cool as in laugh so you don't cry. This is another billionaire, like the Witkoff families. This is another person close to Trump. His name's Steve Witkoff. Well, I don't know if it's his kids. They're now naming babies after him. I don't know if Zach is his son. I don't know how they're related to Steve Witkoff, but hold on. But yeah, they're now naming kids after Trump. I guess this is the new MAGA. They said new MAGA loyalty test just dropped. I guess now you've got to name your children after him. As if it's not disturbing enough. Sorry, I'm just curious how. Steve Witkoff is an American real estate investment landlord. Witkoff Group. He was appointed special envoy to the Middle East. Oh yeah, this is one of the new Jared. This is one of the new This is the new Jared Kushner, one of the new Jared Kushners, the dad. Gross. Yeah, so I'm not sure how these ones are related to Witkoff, but yeah, gross. I guess they're naming their kids after him. And meanwhile, right, There's us, the little people, who wealth is just being transferred to the top and transferred to the top and transferred to the top. And at least we have some people who are fighting for us. I'll say that.
Matter of people being overwhelmed with trying to make sure that they could take care of their families, whether it was keeping a roof over their head, food on the table, or keeping their kids going at school, right? And you know, when things feel a little bad, it always ends up reflecting on the current administration. And so until we get to the point that we start to tell people exactly what goes into the cost of food, what goes into the cost of gas and things like that, and understand who can do what, we're going to continue to see this cycle of, you know what, if I don't like the price of something, I'm going to blame the president and hope that if I vote for somebody opposite of the party that's in power, that everything will be fixed. And I got news for you. It is not going to go in the direction that he promised.
If you don't watch the Katie Fang show, by the way, her show is on Saturday mornings. Katie Fang is also a lawyer, a former prosecutor, absolutely amazing. She's so smart. And we love Jasmine. We love Jasmine Crockett. I was stressed out this weekend and I put a picture. I met Jasmine Crockett once. I took a picture with her and I was like posting it in our group chat. And I was like, the last time I was truly happy. Oh, hey, Joanna. Or hello, that's my account. That's me. Hello?
Sorry, I was accepting Discords. I apologize. I thought I was back on my account.
Okay. Sorry, it's okay. Anyways, false alarm, and this is the part. Now listen to what Jasmine says here.
Not. In fact, when we talk about grocery prices, one of the things that came out a little towards the end of the campaign was that a Kroger executive admitted that they have been price gouging. Listen, we still have a lot of people out here that are greedy because that's the country that we live in. And guess what? The greediest folk in America are now going to be the ones that are going to be running America because he has decided that the millionaires and billionaires who were investing millions of dollars into his campaign, guess what? They're going to be the ones, regardless of their qualifications, that are going to run the government. But I can tell you one thing. I am going to push back and fight every single day that I can because my constituents cannot afford to have billionaires telling them that they don't deserve their Social Security that they've paid into. 20% of my district live at or below poverty. And I know that they voted for the right candidate, whether it was me or whether it was Kamala Harris. My district got it right. So I'm going to do my part.
Amen. I think she's out of Dallas, too, if you're wondering where her district is. I believe she's in Dallas. Can we please, what is going on? Sorry. Yeah, I think Jasmine's in Dallas. Wait, I was just going to say something and now I forgot what it was. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I totally lost my train of thought. I had a point I wanted to make and now I cannot remember what it is. But again, I want to go back. This is when we said like you don't obey in advance and you heard Margarine say those words. There's going to be a naughty list and a nice list, which is a list of Republican senators or people in Congress in general who don't vote with Donald Trump. And one of those people is a senator from Alaska. Her name's Lisa Murkowski, right? She's actually very supportive of like one of her Democratic counterparts who is one of the first indigenous women to be in Congress. She's a representative in the House and she has fought Trump on a lot of things. And she was giving an interview this weekend to No Labels and basically just saying that.
The approach is going to be everybody toe the line. Everybody line up. We got you here. And if you want to survive, you better be good. Don't get on Santa's naughty list here because we will primary you.
That's the threat, right? And we've already lost. Most of the moderate Republicans have been unseated, right? We have fewer than ever of people that will stand up to Donald Trump and can withstand the pressure. She's one of the last ones. I do like Alaska because at least they do their own thing. I will be done soon here. We're almost to 300K. I have a couple more clips and then I have a doctor's appointment I need to get to. Oopsies. I didn't mean for that to start playing.
When Trump talks about sending to jail people who are on that January 6th committee, that sounds like being a tin pot dictator. So I would hope that we have an FBI and a Justice Department that protects the civil liberties of the American people and does its best to protect American democracy.
Well, we know the White House is considering potential
preemptive pardons of those who've clashed with President-elect Trump. In light of what the president-elect said to me, that yes, he does think that members of the January 6th committee should go to jail, do you think that Mr. Biden...
Trump said that last Sunday in an interview with Kristen Welker. We played it on the show last week. Trump said that. And now he's firing off all these defamation lawsuits, like arbitrarily. I think now more than ever, we see what Donald Trump is planning.
Biden should issue preemptive pardons for the entire January 6th committee?
Well, I think he might want to consider that very seriously. Look, that is an outrageous statement. This is what authoritarianism is all about. It's what dictatorship is all about. You do not arrest elected officials who disagree with you, who undertake. You know, when Trump talked.
I love Bernie.
As President Trump comes into office, we have got to understand, Kristen, and this is something I feel very strongly about, and it's not talked about enough. We are moving rapidly into an oligarchic form of society. Never before in American history have so few billionaires, so few people had so much wealth and so much power. Never before has there been so much concentration of ownership, sector after sector, power of Wall Street, and never before in American history, and we better talk about this, have the people on top had so much political power. We can't go around the world saying, oh, well, you know, in Russia, Putin has an oligarchy. Well, we got an oligarchy here, too. And in this last election, in both parties, billionaires spent huge amounts of money to elect their candidates. You know, here in the state of Vermont, we believe we have town meetings, one person, one vote. That's democracy, not billionaires buying elections. Those are the issues we got to focus on. We got to rebuild the middle class. 60% of our people.
Preach. And I remember what I was going to say. You heard Jasmine Crockett talking about Kroger and talking at their shareholders meeting about, or they were admitting to, caught on tape admitting to price fixing. I don't know if you know, but Kroger was trying, and it might be falling through, to do one of the largest mergers in grocery cartel history. That's what they call the grocery lobby in Washington, the grocery cartel. They're trying to merge with Albertsons, which would basically make them a monopoly. Right? You don't have a choice anymore of where to shop. They decide no matter where. It's either Amazon, Walmart, or Kroger, Albertsons. They control every single place we shop. No, I know it's falling through, but that doesn't mean it can't be revived. It should have never been allowed to even be considered. And that's falling through under Biden's antitrust, right? And it didn't fall through because of regulators, really. It fell through because of fighting between Albertsons and Kroger. Like, it's not that people said, hey, these two huge chains cannot merge. People have no options. In free market capitalism, we need many choices. That's what keeps businesses honest, right? And drives prices down. Competition in the market drives prices down. When we only have 2-3 options of where to buy groceries, prices go up. That's the problem. And it's scary. Like, I say, hey, we could look at the grocery cartel and say, well, if we only have one chain of stores or 2 or 3 to shop at, that's going to drive prices up. Forget that. Then we have the problem of the products. We have 2 companies. Because the Heinz Kraft merger was allowed to go through, we now have 2 companies that basically own every product in the United States that we're eating. We have ConAgra and we have Heinz Kraft. Like, they own it's like over 66% of shelf space. You try to bring be a mom and pop person that's like, I have a barbecue sauce and try to get shelf space. Try to compete against Heinz Kraft and ConAgra for shelf space. This is what messes up capitalism. This is why it has to be regulated. This is how oligarchies form. Oh, you can go to this billionaire and shop. You can go to that billionaire and shop, or you can go to this billionaire and shop. And by the way, they're all friends and they're all colluding to keep prices high. That is what an oligarchy is. Quite literally. And it's not going to get better, right? Under Donald Trump. That's what people said. Who was it? The CNN's parent company, as soon as Donald Trump was elected, said, "Oh, I think Hollywood is ripe for a bunch of mergers." That's exactly what they were saying. "Oh, I think there's a lot of opportunities to consolidate power in media companies. Give people fewer choices so they can drive up prices." This is the reality of an oligarchy, people. We are living in it. Literally every day. We made it to 300K. Thank you guys so much. You guys don't know how much I appreciate you every day. I appreciate you so much. You guys keep me sane. I wanted to see. Oh, and I just want to preface this. Tomorrow, Tuesday, is the only day of the week we don't do the people's receipts. It's the broadcast where Dr. Danny, an actual doctor, and Mandy, Potty Mouth Pollyanna, is here, and we focus on how conservative policies are hurting women. If you haven't seen this, Ken Paxton has done it now. He's going to test the shield laws that protect doctors in blue states. And this will possibly end up in front of the Supreme Court. So we'll have Danny. We're going to discuss this and more things. But I just wanted to make sure everyone saw that this happened. Ken Paxton is now attacking a doctor in New York who prescribed the AB pill to a woman, and accusing them of practicing medicine in Texas without being licensed. And New York has shield laws, right? When the Dobbs decision happened, they put shield laws in place to protect doctors in New York from things like this. And so now this huge landmark case is going to play out. This is all planned. You know what I mean? Or this. Have you guys seen this guy, Dave Weldon, the CDC pick? If you want a horror story, if you're looking to be terrified, this reads like a horror show. What could go wrong here? Right? Or we have this. This is a different guy. We have outbreaks of whooping cough, of measles, mumps, rubella. We have avian flu that's now jumped to bovines. And we've got a bunch of people incoming in HHS that don't believe. I mean, what could go wrong here? Again, we'll have Dr. Danny touch on this stuff. I touched on this, and I know she wants to again. This is the ProPublica investigation that came out about United Healthcare limiting access, denying autistic children access to the treatment they need. But United Healthcare was grieving they couldn't respond to this article because she was about denying children care for autism because they were grieving. I believe they actually said that. And this is another one, like if you, I don't know. I mean, there's all sorts of things in the insurance industry. These are all articles I read like this morning at 3 a.m. and was just, I cannot believe what is going on. And I think I showed you that one at the beginning. I thought this one was interesting too. And I talked about this with facts. Do you know only like 15% of people in North Carolina who are eligible for FEMA dollars have applied because they don't trust the government? And if you remember, like when I was talking about this with facts, we were doing a show on Monday morning, like we did this morning, which by the way, Facts and Fleece is Mondays at 8 a.m. Eastern, 6 a.m. Mountain Standard, 5 a.m. Pacific. And I was showing you can trace this back to Russian propaganda. It is Russian propaganda that has people in North Carolina completely distrusting the U.S. government and not getting free money that could help them. This is the fruits of the right becoming parrots of Russian misinformation and disinformation. This is what it is. We have people in rural North Carolina whose lives have been demolished, sitting there with nothing because they don't believe that it's free money. They don't trust the government. They don't, this article really takes you through it, and it's sad. Oh, if you want to read an actual high level analysis about the drone BS, this is my favorite Washington Post writer. His name's Philip Bump. He does like high level statistical analysis. If you don't know who Phil Bump is, he's absolutely amazing. And he wrote this. I wanted to see if I had a screenshot of the one, but This is the last thing I'll leave you with. We talked about this. So this is what Trump, and we're gonna go over this tomorrow. Trump did this horrific press conference this morning. He was screaming for an hour, just, about revenge and all his problems. Do you guys remember who Ann Selzer is? Ann Selzer is one of the most famous pollsters, most trusted pollsters of all time. And she came out before the election with a poll, which I think the end of the poll is like Trump's going to win by 5, but like in a few districts in Iowa, she had Kamala up pretty significantly. Trump at this news conference today said he's filing a lawsuit against her. This is his next victim. ABC News obeyed in advance. Now he knows I think it's like the Des Moines Register. They don't have money to fight lawsuits. Ann Selzer immediately quit the Des Moines Register when Trump had went after her because they feared legal action. She was hoping, if I separate myself from the Des Moines Register, maybe they won't name them. Nope, he's going after both of them. He was screaming this morning. Look. Donald Trump announced that he would pursue a lawsuit against Ann Selzer and the Des Moines Register following a poll released by Selzer leading up to the November 5th election. It showed Trump down to Vice President Kamala Harris in a head-to-head matchup. The poll had Trump down by 4 points against Harris and shocked the country. Despite the poll's findings, the ultimate results had Trump carrying the state of Iowa by more than 5 points. Selzer ultimately announced that she would be retiring from the polling industry. This is one of the most trusted pollsters in our country, and would not continue her contact with the newspaper. My guess is to save that newspaper from litigation that would bury them and bankrupt them. While the poll may have been incorrect, it outraged Donald Trump and his supporters to the point where Trump is now outwardly threatening. I mean, according to what he said today, he's going to sue her and the paper for releasing the poll. It is unclear what legal resource or legal action he would have because polls are wrong all the time. Can you sue someone for a poll being wrong? Polls are wrong all the time. Now we could sue people for statistical analysis being wrong. Yeah, I don't know. But let me did I have this? Oh, this is the thing I wanted to show you. This is the Harry Litman article. If you want to look at ABC, if you want to get a real high level understanding of defamation law, and what I was explaining, Harry Litman is a genius. If you want to follow him on Substack, it's the Talking Feds instead of the Talking Heads. Highly, highly, highly recommend. And let me find one more thing because I do think I have the clip of Trump saying that. Oh no, that's a scary one. I don't even want to think about that clip. Or maybe I don't. Oh wait, sorry. It's not in this part. Sorry, it's been a long day of a lot of stuff. I thought I recorded the clip. Maybe I didn't. I'll just show it to you guys tomorrow. So tomorrow, what we're going to start with is I'm going to break down the crazy press conference that happened of Trump yelling from Mar-a-Lago. And he didn't just say he's going to sue Ann Selzer. There's another one too. Oh, it's 60 Minutes. Is it CBS? Is CBS is 60 Minutes parent company? Yeah, for whatever they did or said, something about 60 Minutes, that too. So that's the new thing now. He's just going to be filing lawsuits against media companies who are fearing other types of retaliation. And we shall see, right? Setting the precedent that none of us are safe. Let me hold on. EO13. I don't know what EO13848 is, so I would have to know what it is. Here. Yeah. Wait, what is that? EO13848. 13. Oh my gosh, I can't even type 384. This is an executive order from 2018. 31848. Okay, because it's like that's a executive 31848. 31848. Executive order. Wait. I don't know what this is. I'm not getting anything that comes up. Biden extended it in September of this year. Well, is it three? Let me just make sure I have it right. Is it 31848? It's okay. Yeah, someone needs to decide what the actual number is because people keep writing it different ways. Is it 13848? Yeah, that's what I looked up. The executive order from 2018. 13848. Yeah, this is a 2018 the American Presidency Project. The executive order 13848 imposing certain sanctions in the event of foreign interference in a United States election. Oh yeah, you'd be like, I don't know, Russia. Yeah, I'll look into. Yeah, let me. I'm screenshotting this now, so it'll be at the end of my photo roll, and I'll look into it. Especially if everyone's talking about it. That's all I do is go through all the news, and then I'll discuss it tomorrow. But yeah, like I mean, that's why the DOJ indicted. Was putting out indictments right before the election. We already know that's happening. But yeah, so you're saying he extended this executive order? Yeah, I'll definitely look into it. Makes sense to me. Oh, this was Trump's executive order imposing sanctions in the event. That's hilarious. Thanks so much, Jer. I appreciate all your help today, by the way. Thank you for always being in here and being such a great mod. Thank you to all the mods, Chrissy, Joanna, Fee, Cootery. Thank you guys for all your help, all the mods, Cookie. You guys are amazing. Oh, let me quickly check my... Making sure we don't have any other messages or anything. Okay, we're good. I will see you guys for the broadcast at 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern. Oh, I guess so. We'll do the Trump stuff on Wednesday then. That's what we'll do the Trump. The next time we'll be here for the People's Receipts will be Wednesday. So I'll see you guys then. We'll be here for the broadcast tomorrow, 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern. Don't change for anyone, guys.